What is the guh? What does that mean? Can, can I know? Explain to me. Oh. That was a painful hiccup. Oh my god. Ow. I don't know why I started singing uh what's it called? Windfish Village? Windfish Village. Do 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 do. That's Wind Village. Do 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 do. For now, we listen to this banger. There we go. But welcome in, everyone. Hello, hello. It is Wednesday. I'm also going to be talking a little gentle today. I hit my mic, so sorry about that. I'm going to be talking a little gentler today because Weewon is Eepies. He apparently didn't sleep well last night, so I am going to be giving you guys oops ASMR on accident. And I'm going to be working on world-building stuff. Now, the world in particular that I have been crafting for the past couple of months now, specifically I've actually been doing this for technically like a year and a half now, on and off, is Eldrig. Now, Eldrig is what I've been calling my system. The world in question is called Eldrig Nova. And it's called Nova because it's in space. I have worked a bit on a fantasy alternative called Eldrig Classic. So it's kind of like Warhammer versus Warhammer 40k kind of deal, where there's like a fantasy version and then there's like a sci-fi version. Now, the sci-fi version is not Eldrig Classic in the future. Eldritch Classic is its own planet, its own races, and a lot of the races you find in Nova are in Classic. It's kind of like a sci-fi reimagining, if you will. So that's what I'm going to continue working on today. Now, I have gone out of my way to write out all of the mechanics for the TTRPG. Sorry about the yawn. And it's all pretty much written down now. If there's a rule that I come across or need to make later, I will add it to that sheet. But for right now, I've written down as much as I can think of. I will be running some sort of little play test with Leon and whoever else might would have joined. But it will be a play test. So with that being said, today I'm going to start working on ship design. I am not good at vehicles. I'm just going to throw that out there right fucking now. I am not good at vehicles. However, this is a sci-fi space fantasy vehicle, and I get to say what it has and doesn't have. Now, it will still be rooted slightly in realism, obviously. It's, you know, it's not fun if it's not realistic. But these guys are... Look me, dude. Can I stop yawning? These guys are about 400-ish, 450-ish years in the future. Not only have humans on Earth, or 400 years in the future, they've also been integrated in a few different alien societies that have actually started colonizing Earth and living with them. These extraterrestrials have brought with them their technology for what I have been calling faster than light travel, which is theoretically possible we just can't do it. Now, I have been looking into how it works and like the mechanics behind it, and I think I have an idea on how to do this. So we're gonna run through that whenever I start working on the anatomy of a basic ship. Now, there are different types of ships, obviously. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And if you want to pitch in, because like I said, I'm going into a field that I know hardly anything about. I'm going to be doing this on the fly with references and anatomy of both spaceships, cruisers, cruise liners, yachts, you know, like actual water-faring vessels, and planes. I'm going to be like looking at all of these different vehicles that I'm going to be basing my spaceships off of. So if you have input, please give it, because I am not good at ships. But like I said, it's sci-fi fantasy. I can bend the rules here and there. And it is with a technology that we don't have yet, so I'm leaving that up in the air for you guys. But for now, let's hop on over there and let's start creating the bone structure of the ships. Now, obviously, different ship types are going to have different anatomy structures based on what they're doing. Like a ship for transporting goods is going to be different than, you know, a hotel in space. That being said, each one has the same basic components to keep it running in space. So what I'm gonna do real quick here is start pulling up a few references for that. Oh, this isn't it. This is Lost Woods. I'm silly. Also, I hope you guys can hear the music. It's a little quiet for me, but... Oh, God. That's why it was quiet. It was being quiet. There we go. Alrighty, so let's start pulling up some regular ships. Oh wait, I do have a folder for some of this, so let me go to there as well. I have to sneeze. Oh no. No. No, no. It's not coming out. Yeah. Who said bless you and I didn't hear it? Alright, so I'm also going to have to look kind of at spaceships, but in a grain of salt kind of sense, because our current spaceships are not going to be anything close to what I want to design. Because we're only meant to go so far. These are supposed to be faster than light vessels. And I want to give them different names for different types, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm gonna just look up anatomy of different ships and see if that helps me. Oh, that's Warhammer. I should probably look at actual... Oh, that's in German. That's SpaceX. We're not using that. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up this one. And then we will look at regular ship. Okay, so, and a plane. So all of these I'm going to take... Oh, I guess it doesn't know what I mean by plane. Okay, so I have all of the refs I need pulled up. Let's grab my tablet and get started. I'm also going to pull up different ship designs that I have saved in my folders here. I'm probably going to use one that I know, either from Star Wars or Star Trek, just to kind of root myself down a little better. I wish I had one with anatomy, though. Like, anatomy in mind, but that's a little difficult to think about. I could just pull up the Enterprise. Let me pull up the Enterprise. USS Enterprise, the Starship Enterprise. Should I Google anatomy? Maybe? Ooh, it does kind of have like a this is what's here ship thing. Okay. I'm gonna use that as well. And I'll have it pulled up a little bit for you guys as well as I start drawing this thing. Oh, that picture's too small. I cannot use that one. Huh. No, I can't use this one either. All of the text is so small in these anatomy pictures. Like, you can tell they were bigger at one point, and then they just got shrunk because of, like, Pinterest or whatever. But whatever. I have something pulled up, and that's all I care about. So let's get this started. Okay. Come in, little glove. Get over here. Alright, I'm also going to put this on symmetry mode so that I can do this. So, first things first, we're going to try and figure out all of the different anatomy that I would need for a spaceship vessel, for a lighter than aircraft and faster than light travel. So, lighter than air. And faster than light. So this is what it's going to do. So lighter than aircraft and faster than light travel. I know my handwriting is shit, but that's okay. Only I no, that was gonna be a lie right out of my mouth. I was gonna say only I can read it, but these are my notes, so it's fine. I can't even read my handwriting sometimes. If I, like, forget what I was writing, I will not realize what it said. So, lighter than aircraft, faster than light travel. These are going to be my spaceships. Space ships? Am I okay? Space ships. Also, I have come up with a logo for Atlas because it's an A. I was thinking originally of doing a Syrian Atlas Company. And the reason they probably would not do that is because the initials would be this. It would be SAC. And I feel like they got rebranded because of that. Hi, Dread, what's up? Why are you crying at me? What did I do? Let me look at that one. Aha, here it is. So, it's probably gonna look like a budget Starfleet logo. Because this is... I miss you guys. Oh, I miss you too, Dread. We will see you soon. Maybe not this Friday, but next Friday. Or just whenever you decide to drop in on us, because you love us, and we care you too. So, I think I know how I'm gonna do this, because these are gonna be like little badges. They don't do anything like what the Star Trek badges do. You don't tap them and like talk to people in them. That's not what they're used for here. They're just little badges to show that you are a part of the Starfleet. Granted, they're Starfleet, not actual Starfleet. And I want it to be an A, but I want it to be stylized. So I was thinking of either doing this, or maybe going the other way, like that. And the reason I called it a budget Starfleet symbol is because it would be an A. I think I might go this way. So it would have this coming out like a little tail, this cropping like this, and this being points like this. And it would be colored into one big ol' symbol. Like so. So this would be an A for Atlas. It wouldn't have anything in it. It would just be a little chunk of metal. And I'm thinking of having maybe an S and a C right here. Or maybe they could have a C in it, like this. C for company, the Atlas Company. Hi, Renetta. Aw, and thank you for the hug for Weewan. He's sheebing right now. He's doing a little sheeb. And thank you for the catnip tea. It gets me bouncing off the walls. Super happy cute. But yeah, welcome in everyone, whoever is coming in and doesn't know what's going on. I'm doing some world building. It is Wednesday after all. Ooh, and I'm currently working on my Atlas crew symbol. And I said I wanted it to look like budget Star Trek, so I made it look like a fancy little A with a C behind it. Because Atlas Company, that would be what it would be for. So we're going to be designing ships here in a minute, but the first thing I wanted to do was get that out of the way and established. The next thing I'm going to do is come up with anatomy of different types of ships. I am not good at ships. I'm actually very bad at ship anatomy. Vehicles, that's the word. I'm kind of bad at vehicles, so if you have input, feel free. But the first thing I did was look up a actual space shuttle, and I'm going to be looking at its anatomy. I also looked up a regular ship as well as an airplane, and I'm going to be taking all of these into consideration when making the basic anatomy for my shuttles here. And then I have the Enterprise pulled up. Anytime I think about designing ships, the gummy ship theme from Kingdom Hearts. Oh no. I have a nose itch. I also have to think of it as kind of like a car as well, because you have to drive a car. So some of these shuttles are going to be smaller, some of them are going to be bigger. I think I'm going to start with a small one, just so I can get the bare minimum in. So if I was to make a very tiny ship that could still perform lighter than aircrafting and faster than light traveling, this thing would probably be some sort of scouter, like a scouting ship. And scouting ships can also be converted into mobile homes in a way, or like a, think like a what are they called? Think of it like an RV. I would consider it kind of like an RV, where you can like either strap it to a vehicle, or have the front part of it be the vehicle. I think that would be really fun. And I'm sure there's nomads out there who live in little ships like that for only 1 to 5 people. Granted, I'm sure there's entire cities that are ships now, because some cultures have actually, or some species have actually lost their planet, either due to war, climate change, their sun finally giving out, and they had the technology to get the fuck out. Those who did have the technology, at least, got the fuck out. So I'm going to also consider those when I'm thinking this. But right now, I think I'm just going to focus on the whole quote-unquote caravan slash RV sort of vehicle for just the most minimum amount of function and only what the vehicle needs to move. So let's look this up. So an RV, I can't remember what that's called, like what RV stands for. I think I'm dumb. Like something vehicle. It doesn't tell me. I looked it up and it's not telling me, and I'm very sad. Well, yeah, like campers. Camper is a good word for it too. But they have the truck on them. An escape pod wouldn't be the same thing, though. An escape pod would be not faster than light. So yeah, I'm just gonna consider the most basic ones, I think. Get out of here. This website is yelling at me. I just want to look at your RVs, bro. I just want to look at your trailers. Motorhomes! That's what they're also called, apparently. Oh, RV is recreational vehicle. That's what it means. Thank you for telling me. Alright, sweet. Okay, so I have that pulled up. Let's get the basics started. So, in order to get this thing to fucking move, obviously, you'd need some sort of engine to get it to go vroom vroom vroom. So I'm just gonna write out, like, basic shit we'll need. So, need an engine to make it go, to make it go, to make turn on, turn on ship, engine. We need some sort of fuel tank. Some sort of fuel tank. Energy for ship to go. Energy for to go. And in order to turn this thing, we need some sort of wheel or cockpit or, like, navigation. Turn and move ship. I'm just gonna write down wheel. I'll change what that's called later. But that's your cockpit. That's your navigational system. Tee cockpit. Cockpit. What else? Steering, I guess, is a better way to call it. And then we'll have the... You know what? I have an idea. Hold on. Let's make this a little better and not poopy in handwriting. So, engine for vroom vroom go. Steering, or like I said, fuel. Go fast. Steering, that's a better way to word it. Turn. Direction. So we've got our three basic components. We'll need the body, which is the chassis, basically. Structure of it. I'm just gonna call it a chassis, even though I know that's not the correct term for it. It's the body of the thing, whatever the said body would be. I guess a suspender, like a suspension system, a propulsion system, that's the word. Propulsion. Get boosties. So the engine is how to turn on the thing, the fuel is how to keep it energized, and the propulsion is how to make it actually move forward. Steering is how to turn it. And then the body is how to keep it all together. Now, inside this very, 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 very basic thing that I got written down, we will also have... Inside the propulsion system, I guess... Oop, nope, I was not trying to erase that. I was trying to turn it. So, for car anatomy, we typically have, like I said, the engine, its fuel system, whatever that may be. For this, it would be the transmission and, you know, the gas area. Oh, I guess brake would count. How to stop. Stop your shit. A brake is technically a part of all this. So we got your engine, your suspension, and your transmission. Suspension is... I don't remember what suspension is. I'm so stupid. I can picture what it is. I just don't remember what it is. It's the bullshit with your... Oh, I was gonna say, do they need wheels? Maybe hover? Hover function? When not flying. When not super flying. Superfly, that's better. Because you need a hover system whenever you're not, you know. Exhaust, that would be a part of the propulsion system. That would... I don't know what I would call those. Thrusters? I think thrusters is a better descriptor. Oh, and then a place to sit. Seating. People sit in. Sit. Let me look at the engine. Granted, I know how the engine works on a basic level. Fun fact, I was raised pretty much in a mechanic shop, so I've forgotten more about cars than most people will ever learn. I regularly, like, help shit, so... But I've completely forgotten all of that shit nowadays. But I do know how an engine for a car functions. I don't necessarily know how an engine for a boat or a spaceship functions, but I can at least sort of think of it in the way of a car. Sort of. I guess well, electrical. I'll just put down electrical. Electrical. Zappy. For what is it called? Appliances. You need electricity in your car because your engine also has, well, your engine is a separate part, obviously, but in the bonnet of your car, or, you know, the top hood, the front hood, quote unquote, I believe it's called a bonnet, I cannot remember. Yeah, pop that shit open, and you got a battery in there next to your engine. That is for your electrical stuff. That is how you can charge your phone in your car. So this thing will obviously have some sort of electrical components as well, just because you need to run multiple things at once. It's not just for the fuel for the ship, you also need to just run other things. Because this is where you will be living. You need electricity. Oh, a water system. Wash ass. and a food system. If you want to eat, eat, bitch. So these are systems that are going to be, throws a boiler room and does one. No! No, we don't need a boiler room! This is a spaceship. And the first thing I'm doing is taking down notes on how a car should run, because I know the most about cars. I don't know shit about ships. Like I said, if you guys have any input at some point, please speak up. For right now, though, I am just writing out different anatomical things that I would like for the ship. For the most basic of basic ships that can sustain itself. World building. About to build like a Lego game with all them clicks and clack, click, 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 click. Giga. Whoa, this is a new kind of car. Oh, that's right! I forgot. New cars, like brand new cars, have shut-off valves. Or they have like shut-off functions where if they are parked for more than a few seconds, they'll just turn off. And they'll go into like a sleep mode. And then when you start up again or you get ready to drive, it'll magically wake back up. It's like efficient about like fuel, and it's efficient about putting out a carbon footprint, which is really fucking cool. Leon's cousin Synth has that car. You remember when cars couldn't back up? Those are the days. Those were not the days, Esther. Those are not. Oh. I have been ruined. I hate the internet. How about a dungeon, you know, for the war criminals? That is a tertiary function for a ship specifically made to, like, bring prisoners. So what I'm doing is coming up with the most basic of basic functions for a ship in general to have, and then when I'm ready to, like, specialize the ship, I will add stuff like that. But it's kind of like having the basic component of a vehicle. Like, you obviously need an engine, you need a battery, you need wheels, you need a steering, you need suspension, you need exhaust, you need fuel. But then you can go, okay, well, now I have a car, this is just for traveling to and from work. Or, now I have an RV, this is for going on vacation with my family, so half of it is like kind of like a mini house. Or, I have a 18-wheeler, which has its own mess of problems, and it's got a bit more to it, but because its exhaust pipe is like on the top and shit, it's anyway. That now has a truck bed that I have to pull. So I will do specializations once I'm done. I'll do specializations once I have everything written down for basic ship components. Also, if you want to see something fucked up, well, okay, it's not fucked up. I've seen worse, but it still upset me. You know what? Nah, this is going in Sort of Friends. You know what's bad when it goes into Sort of Friends? That's bad. Anyway. So I googled car anatomy. And that was to look at cars. Do you have a cargo holder? Me or the ship? I do think some sort of storage space would be needed no matter what. Even the most basic-ass basic cars have some sort of storage. Hold your shit. There we go. Oh, that is a tiny car. Oh, why is it in French? I don't need that. But, yeah, I looked up car anatomy because I was like, that helps, right? That will help me figure out how all of this works. Write down everything. Sometimes I hop on Twitch to not feel so lonely. You know what? That's fair. I feel that. Also, welcome in, Arson. But yeah, apparently the internet also decided to do Cars anatomy from Pixar. I saw the internals of an exhaust pipe that I should never have seen. It was very cursed. It was a little cursed. Oh, this one, sorry, this one has 2 exhaust pipes because it's a girl. Just take that and let your mind go free. That's all you need to know. I have since shared it in a very questionable Discord that I hang out in. It's not a questionable Discord. It's just it's Leon's friend Discord, like where him and his IRL homies hang out and like his cousins and stuff. And they have a channel where it's like, oh, that's fucked up, and then they share it. Like, someone likes to post those, really stupid, that's a highway life I want to ride all night long. Kill me, kill me, kill me. Anyway, but no, they share just stupid shit that they found on the internet, and they're like, oh, that's bad, and then they share it. That was one of those. I'm trying to think of an example. I can't think of one right now. I guess I could always scroll through there, but I don't want to right now. Alright. So I've written down everything I could think of by looking at car anatomy. Let me go through the spaceships and see what differences I need. Now, propulsion goes with booster system. It says here they have rocket boosters, but I don't need that. Flotation system, that's just hovering. Electronics, I already have that. Pyrotechnic igniter, that sounds dope, but it also sounds like it's a part of the... Ooh, outer casing. No, I don't need that. Liquid hydrogen, I don't need that. Oh, a oxygen system, obviously. Breathe, idiot. And then gravity system. So those are going to be little pieces in the ship that help with that. Okay, so current space shuttles have nothing to offer me. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go look at an actual ship. So let's see, we have the deck. I guess the deck could work. The poop deck. Hee. Poop deck. It's 'cause it's in the back of the ship. The Monkey Island. I remember what that is. Oh, dude, where's Ryza? Speaking of cars, so I saw a really cool tutorial that used the shape of cars to draw feet, and it's been really helpful. Uh, 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 me trying to... Me trying to put that together. As long as it helps you, man, that's all I care about. But that was a very... something I was not expecting to hear today. You can use cars to come up with shoes. That's wild. I did not think I would hear that today. That's really funny. No, like legit, draw like a basic detailed car, like draw like a windshield in like frame. Like this. Let go! I'm trying to draw a car. Why did you throw me? Like front or side view? Like what are we talking here? Side view. So like this. There's the car. There's the windshield. This is where the wheels would go. This is the light. And then like here's a boot, for instance. I guess I could kind of see it. Maybe. But then I've learned both of them in different ways. The top of the car becomes the top of the shoe, the head is the tip of the shoe, and then you just had a leg. Like I said, I think I could see it. Water. Alrighty. So we've got the rudder, the propeller. The propeller and the rudder would technically be the propulsion system. So I'm gonna do this. So propeller, rudder. The bridge would technically be the steering system. Crane, we don't need that. Cargo hold, cargo hold. Cargo hold would be storage. I'm trying to see how many of these like link together. The forward, the stem, keel, anchor. We don't need an anchor. That would technically be the brakes, I guess. Brake, anchor. Hull is just the internals. Port and starboard, I don't have to worry about that. I don't know, I thought it was cool. It's hard to explain over text, but it's like basic shape design's like another cool thing I learned. It's like all the ladies using only triangle. That would make sense. Everything is made out of shapes, as I've touted on my channel many a times, and only thing you need to know is 3 shapes. This shape, and this shape, and you're good. What is a cylinder but 2 circles and a square put together? Exactly. And there's only 2 lines you ever need to study. A straight one and a curved one. That's it. Because most of my anatomy is just all that together. So like a head, it's a circle. Add a tiny bit of a square here, and then a triangle. Bam. Got a noggin. Alright, so back to the ship. We got the bridge, the propeller, and the rudder, the anchor, the cargo hold. Propulsion, the body, or the chassis, which, that's easy to look at. Hover system is not in a car. Seating, easy. That's accommodation, technically. Okay, so any other things in the boat I can't really see me writing down. I'm gonna now look at an airplane and see if I can't find anything the same as well. So we got the cockpit, obviously, which is steering the bridge. Cockpit. Turbines, that is the engine. I believe ships also have engines of some sort. Hi Astrid, welcome in. Don't mind me. I'm just taking down some notes on ships, airplanes, and all that so I can draw a basic model. How is everyone? I am good. Now, I don't need to worry about the wings because these things don't use wings. They use a fuselage is the chassis. Fuselage is the body, so chassis, fuselage. I know more about airplanes than I thought. Because a lot of these words, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. And then we've got the rudder, elevator, the tail, basically. It controls everything. It controls the yaw, the pitch, how to make it go up and down. You know how tails work. So I don't have to worry about that. That is just how to move. Obviously we have fuel. The spoiler is how to also change it. You know what would be kind of cool, talking about spaceships halfway Da Vinci style, practical like physical blueprints or like spaceships? I am going to draw the ships at some point. Right now I'm just coming up with stuff that I need to make it. I need to know the anatomy of the ship before I can draw the anatomy of the ship, basically. Okay, anything else on a ship? I don't really see anything I need. Okay, now that I have all of this written down, I can try and start drawing some sort of anatomy. Ugh. I'm just goofing, talking about silly stuff, like there's obviously no air, so you couldn't flap your wings in space. For some reason, I like the idea of, like, flapping my spaceship's wings. I think it depends. If you mean flap your wings, as in using some sort of propulsion or reactor to push you through space, because remember, space, there is no gravitational pull. There is no way to, like, move. Without some sort of action on your part. You know, the law of Newton and all that. Today's food agenda was 2 parts. First was frozen barbecue chicken pizza. Second part would be noodles and pork. Dude, that sounds yummy. Dude, I want Totino's pizza. Oh, those are so good. I had another question wanting your opinion on something. I was thinking about the supernatural creatures that the characters in my world would be facing, and I was wondering if it would be cheap if I let the creatures, like, come back after dying, maybe, like, after a few months to a few years. Law of Newton, who are you, a cop? Yeah. I think, Astrid, it depends on the creature. If it's an undead and it hasn't been dispatched permanently through either its weakness or whatever, then yeah, I could see it working. Maybe they were just fucked up so bad that they had to, like, take a nap. If it is some sort of a magical being that can come back through magic, like some sort of reincarnation or like regeneration a la the jellyfish, that also I could see. Don't forget to try in True Method if you ever have a creature that needs to be brought back for some reason, it made an egg. Yeah, like a jellyfish. The way jellyfish work, when they die, they leave something behind. It's like this little stalk. The stalk gives birth to a new jellyfish, and then the jellyfish grows up. And they're literally like this weird, like constantly reincarnating fish. And it's really, well, they're not even fish. A constantly reincarnating creature. So if it's something kind of like that through magical means or through being an undead, it's not a cop-out, I promise. If it's someone who's mortal or human or doesn't have access to magical means of keeping themselves safe, like a phylactery or whatever, stock of jellyfish, nah, I don't trust the pigs. Then I could see some people being like, hey, come on, what the fuck? But, like, there's ways to work around that. So, whatever you see fit. I'll just put lore around it in an explanation. Yeah, I say reveal it as you need to. Less is more, in my opinion. Only reveal something as you need it. Like, be like, haha, I killed this guy. Like, have a character think they did something, and then the other one who's in the know is like, yeah, they're probably gonna be back at some point. And they're like, why? I just say go full Disney and just go Palpatine Returned. I fucking hate Palpatine Returned. That shit annoyed me. You know what? I'm gonna say it. I didn't like the new Star Warses. The first one was fine, but it felt like a repeat of A New Hope. It's like, oh, plucky young hero coming from a desert planet where they're nobody and, you know, nothing. They get an elder mentor figure. The bad guy kills elder mentor figure, and now they are more solidified in the Force. Like, it's like, okay, it's just a repeat of New Hope. And then the other two were just kind of dumb. Now, we've had this debate before New Star Wars is awesome. They straight up ended that with an anime Kamehameha battle. I didn't like it. I didn't care for it. I couldn't. Says there's witch hunters and such, I feel there would be poachers of magical creatures. Of course, there's always going to be poachers. There's always going to be people out there who see value, especially monetary, for people who would like to take creatures and use their powers or whatever. Hi, Docky. Welcome in. For instance, maybe there's a species of magical creature that's gone extinct in the world. Definitely. I'm sure there's a few. There's also going to be peeps into the monsters, like me. That's true. There's going to be people advocating for rights of creatures, and some creatures that are considered, like, not sentient or just, like, half people, half breed, whatever. There will be people who want them. And there will be people who advocate for them. Yeah, rights, that's what I meant. God damn it, Arson, I know what you meant. I am very for monsters' rights. I will also say, though, back on the whole poaching thing, I've talked about this once or twice on stream, but I'll go over it again. I have a werewolf named Bobby, and he is adorable. But he had a run-in with a group... Hi, Anaki. But I'm biased, so I think everyone here is biased towards monsters. I have cultivated a very cream of the crop community of monster fuckers. Because I, too, love me my monsters. I love big old scary creatures that wanna hug my face. Yeah, Bobby. Bobby rules. Are we talking about my Bobby? He's kinda cute. I will save, of course. I'm biased towards hatred. That, too. I have a strong sense of justice when it comes to this sort of stuff. I thank you for the bat. There we go. I saved it. In my case, it's humans. It's humans fuck me? Oh, I see. Right. You're the monster. I just hate everything and everyone equally. Oh. I guess that's fair. Yes, your Bobby rules. Yay, I love Bobby. But, yeah, to explain what I was saying a minute ago, Astrid, Bobby is a werewolf who had a run-in with a group of people called the Skinners. Werewolves have very fast regenerative properties. And they went, hey, we know how to make silver tools to learn how to properly scrape off and cut out fur from werewolves when they're in their werewolf form and just sell that bitch. Ran into a bunch of principal Skinners. It's terrifying. Ugh. Also, ads will be coming up soon, so for the next 3 minutes, I will be in the ad dimension. But I will see you guys in 3 minutes. Remember, I don't do anything interesting while it's going. I just say silly shit. Lies. What? No. My nose is just blah, 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 blah. Alright, how am I gonna draw this? Silver doesn't negate the healing factor of werewolves. Oh, it does, but what I mean is because they want the healing to come back. They want the fur to come back. So the way they did it was they used a normal tool to initially make the cuts, and then they used a silver, like, kind of like almost tanning thing, where they scraped the werewolf fur itself while taking it off of them to kind of like seal it and make sure it didn't try to grow back onto the wolf immediately. So they skinned my boy. Could there be like black marketplace for stuff like that? Definitely. I am sure there's a black marketplace for that. There's a black market for everything. There's ads now. Fuck. I'll let Astrid know. But yeah, no, there's a black market for every fucking thing. If you can think it, it's a black market. Ugh, ads. Yeah.
Don't worry, they'll be done in 2.5 minutes and I'll see you guys.
While I'm waiting, I'm gonna try and draw some sort of semblance of a ship. Ugh. I burped. Hmm. Here we go! Thank you for the 33 months. Jeez, you've been here a while. To be fair, you've been here since before I started streaming. That's crazy. Also, welcome in. Hope you're doing okay. I'm working on spaceships, or at least the very, very basic idea of what a ship could have. We're also waiting for ads to finish because people are stuck in ads, and I have Astrid asking me world building questions, so I'm holding on to all my answers until they come back. I'm also pulling up ships so that I can draw more ships. Also, Yumiko, if you like sci-fi and spaceship stuff, this is probably the stream for you today. Only had like 15 seconds. Oh, jeez. Ads are supposed to be like 3 minutes. Typically with enough explanation, you can kind of justify anything, whether it be characters coming back or how silly system works, as long as it's part of the world, yeah. One of my characters during Star Wars D&D, T-posed an intimidated card, and they rolled successfully, so I justified, and a justification was they stretched their arms off, showing off their weapons and gear off their... Oh, that would make sense. Do look at my shit? Look at my shit? Still in ads. Ads should be done here soon, so give it a bit. I'm just giving people some time while I look up spaceship, or sci-fi spaceships specifically, so I can start getting some stuff done. Yeah, while I won't understand a lot, I still enjoy. I'm having a blast thinking up stuff, although I'm worried I might fuck up. I don't want to, like... Granted, I don't know how I'm gonna fuck up. It's my world. It's my sci-fi. I can choose. But sci-fi usually has a lot more of a lens fixed on it, like, oh, are you gonna do it correctly? But, like, I'm just gonna be like, fuck you. You don't understand all of the technology, so you shouldn't have to expect me to. You know? It's a magic system all on its own, in a way. If you're careful about it. Welcome back, everyone! Also had another idea that I wanted your opinion on. A secret society living in Antarctica. They live under the ice and have pet polar bears. That could work. Apparently Antarctica can have warm pockets underneath it because of how thick the ice is. So they could definitely, if they have the tech or the magic for it, they could definitely... Welcome back, Arson! Yeah, everyone is back. They could definitely use, like, magical means to keep everything in there warm for themselves. Kind of like how, what is it called? Kind of like how igloos work. Most igloos, kind of acts as like some sort of self-insulation. So when you have a bit of a fire in the middle of the igloo, it will melt the ice just a little bit, but then it'll like kind of glassify it in a way and solidify it a bit more, while the cold outside keeps everything frozen, and then the warmth inside keeps it warm enough for you. The point of sci-fi is to have the fi with the psi, so have fun with that. Yeah. It's fi for a reason. It's fiction, so... if people ever get upsetty spaghetti at how my technology works, I'm gonna say, fuck you, a wizard did it. That part's a joke. But there is technically magic in my stuff, but I'm not gonna get into that today.
Hello, Salem.
Point of sci-fi is to have fi with the psi. I wonder what fi means. Like fi, like, were you trying to say fun? Ooh. Okay, so that is a tiny fucking ship. That's a little baby ship. That's a freighter. Let's open this and this. I don't think I need to use a train. Adam Savage had an awesome thing for coming up with spaceships where he grabbed like 3 random items and turned it into a spaceship. Oh no, I'm not struggling with design. I'm just trying to come up with a basic anatomy for the inside of it. Isn't sci-fi an abbreviation of science fantasy? It's science fiction. It's SCIFI. And it's the great horned one. Yeah, he's got un horn. I'm thinking they would be like this ancient society of witches. They know old magics. And we'll have an ancient version of the witch language. The main characters probably won't know. For context, witches have their own written language. I figured. And there's a lot you could come up from that. There's Futhark, there's Theban. Y'all look cute. That's Adam Savage, though. He can turn a toothbrush into a black hole generator, for fuck's sake. Fair. Yeah, it's not the external design I'm worried about at the moment. It's about the internal design. Because I have different ideas for different outset designs. Because each one is going to have a different design depending on what their specialization is.
Ugga booga.
Also, I realized I want to call the ship hotels that are floating around cruisers because they're space cruising. But I'm gonna have to be like, not to be confused with the warships of the 21st century. I've seen both sci-fi and sci-fi used, though I thought one was a channel-specific one for television. I think sci-fi with an FY is for television. Bro, I'm still mad that they canceled Firefly. Firefly was so fucking good. And they canceled it. And I'm heartbroken over that. It was a really good show. Want to call it like a cruiser class, the way it's got like classification for it and it separates it? Yeah, so it's going to be called a cruiser because it's a cruising class vessel where people vacation on it. They're on a cruise. But terms have changed for ships since the, 4 centuries or so have passed, and they're like, it's something else. Kind of like how peruse for our word, I believe, used to mean doing something extensively, and nowadays it just means not doing anything extensively. It means like just kind of you're perusing, you're scanning over it lightly. Words have started to mean like the opposite sometimes. Like definitions will change over the course of centuries. So I kind of want to do something like that. Okay, so I have a few ships pulled up. Ooh, that is a nice looking ship. Hold on, I found one that looks really cool. It looks really sexy. Okay, so I was going to say something silly, right? But then I thought about it, and I immediately loved it, so thinking like a casino ship? Yeah. Oh, definitely. There's going to be ships that specialize in all sorts of stuff like that. there's city ships, so why the fuck wouldn't there be casino ships? Or like a Las Vegas style ship, where anything and everything you want to do is technically legal. I mean, within reason, obviously. You can't go there and kill someone. But, you know, you could call it a chip ship. I have an idea on how humans are going to be naming their ships. Now, I have to specify humans are naming it this way, because different races have different ways of referring to their ships. My only concern and thing I have not thought out 100% is how ancient witches would interact with the Arctic explorers and how they could hide themselves. Turn themselves into snow people. They are snowmen. Watch them through the eyes of penguins. Penguins are their familiars now. I'm just being a silly goofer. So we have scouters, we have freighters, we have cruisers. So this is kind of how I want the naming conventions to be. And then we have fighters. So a scouter is a small ship that is more on camouflage. Has been used for decades. One of the basic forms of ninjutsu in real life is just to be above your opponent. I was gonna say some form of invisibility or camouflage. There's also tons of hidden underground cities and other things like that. Camouflage is pretty badass when you look at how ancient ways did it. Okay, so stuff like that. I'll come up with more later, but for now I'm gonna draw the actual basic anatomy of a ship. I actually love the idea of penguins being their familiars. Ah, hell yeah. I want a penguin familiar. I name him Piplup. Cute. Alrighty, so just like a, I don't know if I want it to be like a regular ship. I'm gonna make something very small and simple. I'm gonna name it Slushy, probably Slushy. Cute. So I'm gonna draw something simple at first. If you're having trouble coming up with a villain, think about who has the most to gain from stopping the heroes. Yeah, it just depends on who said person is and what they could possibly gain from these people not succeeding. Or maybe the heroes have something they want. Like, maybe they have some sort of secret wand or, like, jewel piece or something that they want. So this is going to be the propulsion system. I can get rid of this for the time being. I have a quick little example. The villain of my D&D story I'm doing with my brother kidnapped my brother's character's sister because she has the ability to open portals and he needs her to rescue his wife from hell. Fair. Super simple villains have desires. What are they going to do that's evil that helps them get their desires? Yeah, exactly. And I always like to go on the rule of thumb that the villain doesn't think what they're doing is evil. They're justified in their actions as far as they're concerned, which is why they don't see a problem in what they're doing. Even if that justification is inherently flawed and stupid. Like, let's say it's just simply a matter of, let's say this person, the villain is just super fucking racist, right? It's because they genuinely believe they are the better race and they are making the world better by eliminating another race. That's just how some people operate. Some can be more justifiable than others, some are absolutely abhorrent. The fact is, the villain thinks they're doing good work. That's the main thing you gotta think about. Don't feel like you have a complex villain. No, they don't have to be doing anything crazy complex. Like think about one of the more classic villains. Think of Maleficent, not the stupid live action remake, whatever. But the original evil fairy that showed up to the birth of the child. Think of it in her point of view. She is an extremely powerful ancient being who was not invited to a public event. In fact, she was actively ostracized and told to fuck off by both humans and her own fae people. And she went, fine, fuck you. I'm gonna curse your daughter then. Like, that's why she did it. Because she got snubbed real hard. So yeah. It can be as simple as that. It's like, wow, this person was a dick. I'm gonna fuck you up. Tarzan's villain is a guy who wants to hunt gorillas. He's just a poacher. Yeah, he's just a poacher. Or you can have this really sad shit. Like, you know what? I'm going to Vandalt for a minute here. For those of you who don't know, Leon is my husband, and he made a wonderful, beautiful TTRPG called Vandalt. I'm gonna use two of his villains. I don't know the true motives of the current villain, but the old villain, he started doing really fucky stuff. But it was out of vengeance for not having gotten help to find his son. It was a really bad reaction to not getting that help. But he was, in a way, he was still slightly justified, but he pushed it so far, he lost himself. Which made him for a very complex and interesting villain. On the other hand, you have some villains in the current campaign that just think they're better than the other races, and they're just out to kill. They're like, yeah, no, you're right. These dumb shell fucks need to leave. Because we're better. Like, that's... You don't need to make it super complicated. You don't need to make it super simple. As long as the villain thinks what they're doing is right in their eyes, that's all you need, really. Would it be too much to add gods to my universe? No, I don't think so. I've been debating it because I want to make it at least a little grounded, or at least as grounded as you can be with magic and shit existing. That's up to you, bud. I will say, witches and wizards in your story would probably have different gods to humans, or at the very least, they would probably still be connected to the older gods, because nothing bothers me more than a certain magic story where the characters are supposedly these witches and wizards that separated from humans hundreds to maybe even 1,000 years ago, and they worship Jesus. It's so dumb. And when in doubt, especially when it comes to making villains, there's nothing wrong with just fighting Nazis. When they be elf Nazis, space Nazis, zombie Nazis, that's okay. Fight a Nazi. Just punch a Nazi. I agree. I mean, Dracula just missed his wife and tried to go on a genocide. Yeah, see, once again, I understand. I don't condone it, but I understand. See, if he had left it at that town, I would have been completely... I've been like, yes, king, pop off. You're so right for that. But he decided to put it to the whole world. If he had just isolated that entire town and warned them like he did, and like, I'm gonna fuck you up in a year, you better fucking leave. And then, you know, the people who wanted to leave did, and the assholes that stayed, and he nuked them. Perfectly understandable. I've been like, yes, nuke the whole city. And the reason I say the whole city instead of just the priest is one very good reason. No single fucking person stood up and said, hey, maybe we shouldn't kill an innocent woman. They all were complicit. That entire city was complicit. So yeah, take out the whole city. Pop off, King. But no, he took it way too far. Which, like I said, I understand, but after a certain point, you can't justify it. The reason why he wanted to put it to the world is because he was trying to essentially oh, I know that. But I'm just saying, if he was in his right mind, and he wanted to keep me on his side, just take out the city. That's it. Like, I know why he was doing it. I'm also worried about my book becoming compared to Percy Jackson or something if I include gods. It depends on how you include the gods, I think. Because Percy Jackson, aren't they, like, all kids of the gods or whatever? Like, human god hybrids? And shouldn't, like, half of that camp be, like, Zeus's kids? Poseidon I could kind of see fucking a human. He's not the most faithful either. I could never see Hades doing it. The character demigods. Yeah, so, like, that's a completely different thing. You can have gods in your stories without having, like, that kind of stuff. Gods are up for grabs, in my opinion. He got Justice League with Wonder Woman. He got Percy Jackson. Hell, even myself with my final big bad of my story as a god. It's kind of based off of the Christian god. Although when he finally arrives, he calls and says, I've been called many names. My favorite one is Zeus. Then he fights. Got it. There's nothing wrong with using gods. Especially old gods and new gods. Nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. Yeah, same. I put a Jolly Rancher in my mouth, so you're gonna hear me moving it around in my mouth for a while. Nom, nom, nom. Alright, back to my ship for the time being. So I'm gonna have steering. Probably somewhere here. Some sort of cockpit. In fact, my new character is the son of Aphrodite and hepatitis, and frankly, I love it. I'm sorry that I shouldn't have reacted that way, but it was just really funny. Also, this is probably just gonna be parts of the ship. Okay, and here's a chair. Maybe you've got other navigation systems right here. Here's another chair. And then here's the doors out. They probably slide open. I'll think about it, but if I did include gods, I'd probably use more of the old gods, like Aztec or Native American, considering I'm taking a lot from folklore and urban legend. Yeah, go for that. This music is, fucking jammy. I guess the cockpit could also be called the bridge. Quote-unquote bridge. Especially since I am basing it slightly off of, like, naval ship sounds. Yes, of course, respect is all. Always my top priority. Of course, of course. Yeah, I think I'll call this the bridge. And I'll highlight it as cockpit. Or maybe the cockpit is the navigation part right here, and then the bridge is the whole thing. There we go. I gotta say the discussions this community has regarding their stories and your stories are awesome. It's one of the reasons why this is one of the best communities on Twitch.
I'm glad you think this place is dope. Ow!
Thank you, Arson. My face. I'm actually gonna bring this out just a bit more. But I absolutely adore having a community based on world building. Because that shit has been my favorite thing to do. Since I was like in 5th grade. Okay, this looks fine. Alright, so we've got the bridge and the cockpit. So we've got steering. I'll do this. Also thinking about allowing the kids to move around the world and not just stay in the US. They get more folklore and myth to draw from. Okay, so... Contemplation. Got an interesting question for you, who is not, my brother, who's not an artist or writer, has recently gone into church, has gone to role-playing with it. It's telling him stories and stuff. He brought up an interesting question. If he's the one coming up with the promise and the direction of the story, but he struggles with the dialogue, would it be fair to include this time, or is that still stealing? I want to know your feet before I say mom. Wait, oh! He has recently gone in a chat GBT. And he's gone into role-playing with it, telling it stories and stuff. He brought up an interesting question. If he's the one coming up with the promise and direction. No, you're good, Arson. I'm just trying to process what you're asking. Would it be fair to include this time, or is it still stealing? Anything with ChatGPT is stealing. Anything. Because all AI programs scrape from artists and writers on the internet without their consent. All of it is stealing. That is technically stealing, yes. If it gives him good ideas to write his own dialogue for whatever second character he is coming up with, that would be possibly okay, maybe. But I am under a strict and stringent understanding that ChatGPT scrapes from EO3. It's actually one of the reasons why I have not published on Wattpad, because I have like 13 chapters sitting there waiting to be published. They are not. And that is because after I heard about everything getting scraped, I immediately stopped production of any books that I was going to publish on Wattpad. I was originally going to do it on AO3 as well, but I was like, that's a stupid fucking idea. This is not the time nor place to be posting that kind of stuff. And for art, I just need glaze. Hi, Penguina, welcome in. My not pointy rocket ship. I'm making pointy rocket ship. You can't stop me. Does there necessarily have to be a villain? Because while I'm watching, I was just thinking maybe like main character is their own enemy because of some sort of prophecy or something. So when I say villain in a story, think of it more like as conflict. If the conflict is just inner turmoil for the character, it can still work and it can still be interesting. You don't need a physical bad guy to make a story good. So let me... I'm about to give myself away here. Just post chapter containing nothing but rampant homosexual intercourse that only GBT knows or knows is gay sex. Pigmina, I like slow burn. I have 10 chapters that aren't homosexual intercourse. The first 10 chapters do. Help me. I am a slur burn kind of bitch. But, okay, so to answer your question, Astrid, there was a book that I read. It's really good. I don't know if I should say what it was, because I'll give myself away, but it didn't have any physical villains, it didn't have any bad guys, or, well, it had a couple of quote-unquote bad guys here and there, but there wasn't a main villain. There was just a couple of here and there, oh fuck, we're getting attacked. The main drive and quote-unquote villain, or tension of the plot, was that these two characters fell for each other. And I was like, that's so cute. Why is this book only halfway done? This is a romance novel. Something happens to bring them back to the real world. And one of them got amnesia. And the other one happens to look like a demon. But they were in love. But the human forgot. And it killed me. Amnesia stories, for some fucking reason, get me, and I don't know why. But the amnesia and the human trying to wrap his head around the fact that he was with a demon and he couldn't get away from the guy was what was the driving force of the tension and the quote-unquote villain, I guess. So, yes, it can definitely work if it's like an inner turmoil of some sort. Because that shit made me more stressed out and worried and crying than any other story where there was like a physical bad guy. 10 chapters that are not rampant homosexual intercourse means that the remaining 4 are. Yeah, pretty much. Well, okay, no. That's like only halfway through the story. So, the first 13 chapters are technically halfway. But it's all up there, getting ready to be published, and I stopped. I was like, I'm not gonna publish this shit. I'm scared. In the manga, love henna, which is not great, but I read it was in middle school, so it means a lot to me. There's no villain, it's a romance, but the main character's constant issue is the fact that his self-worth is so low, and he's afraid of failure, and that the fear sometimes ends up preventing him from doing anything at all. How many chapters should be focused mainly on introduction? Should it only be the first one? Or it depends on how many characters you're introducing. And once again, like I said, less is more. Don't give away everything at once. Give people basics and then ease them into that pot slowly as more chapters go. Also, don't introduce too many too quickly because people will forgore. I will forgore. Rule of 3. If you're not giving a hook by the 3rd chapter, most people will put it down, including myself. Music is very gentle. I like it. Yeah, so when you say introduction, I was thinking about doing an in media res opening with the main character already being in trouble and then rewinding. I could see that working. It's a cliche and it's totally bogus, but I use it all the time. I always start my storage off with an explosion. Arson! Well, I mean, your name is Arson. How did I start a couple of mine? I've written multiple stories by now. I have not published any of them. I wanted to, but like I said, the ChatGPT thing scared the shit out of me, so I'm not doing that. Nothing catches people's attention more than an explosion. Fair, I guess. For me, it all has to... And I'm gonna include the books that I've read as well. Bear in mind, I don't read super action-packed books, but I have read a few magic books, and I've mostly just been reading monster romance. So this is where my shit will come from, and also what I've written. I start, usually, in the first chapter, with a problem. Not necessarily a hook, but a problem. And it introduces the main character having to deal with said problem. And that's how I like to start off my shit. If that happens to be a snippet of the future, which is some sort of news anchor or TV station talking about it, that works. My 2 problems that I set up in my first chapter, one was for, I called it Bride of the Devil? The first chapter starts off a little slow but picks up at the end of the chapter where the kid is lured to his own church by his aunt, so he has no reason to suspect anything, and is offered up as a sacrifice to a demon by the end of it. The problem has been offered. This kid has literally been groomed his entire life to think he was in a cool, wholesome church and has figured out, oh god, my parents are demon worshippers and they literally tried to kill me. In my other story that I like to write, come on, you can't go wrong with the other cliche, you won't believe how I got into this situation. Oh my god. The other one that I started off with, the problem was, my little superhero man that I wrote for. His name is Marco. The problem was he was a recovering alcoholic trying to get his captain's badge back because he wanted to be a superhero captain again. He used to be. He lost it. He was put on sabbatical for his drinking problem. And the problem is a dude he think hates him is the one that's doing the assessment. And he's like, fuck me, I'm going to not get this shit done because this guy hates my guts. That was the problem for chapter 1. That's exactly the cliche I was going to use, making fun of it in the process. That's fair. Sometimes if you want to make fun of old shit like that, do it. That shit's also fun. But I like setting up chapter 1 to be a problem for a character, and then the first couple of chapters is establishing why it is actually not a problem and what we should move on from, or recovering from it and then hooking by the end of the third chapter-ish. You know, it's usually a problem. Explosions. Arson, you're so right, but also, not everything needs explosions. Not for me, at least. But that was my stuff. The noodles and pork is scrumptious. Added jalapeno lime sauce to it. Nice! Alright, let's go back to my ship. So I want these to be, what are they called? Propulsion system. Thrusters, in a way. Also, these things can move. They can turn this way. They can turn up. They can turn down. They're basically used as kind of like an arm or something that can turn this way, up, down. And it helps to move the ship. So think of it as kind of like skis on a ship, where it's like, if it's straight, you're going straight. If they curve in, you start probably propelling a lot faster. If they curve out, it slows you down. If they curve down, you go up. If they curve up, you go down. Shit like that. Your superhero story, explosion of sobriety. The thing is, the sobriety wasn't the problem that I issued. It's so hot, I'm melting, please send help. Oh god, I'm so sorry. I'd send you some of my AC in a bag if I could. Could the problem be more of a mundane personal one that gets solved, and then the next problem's more of the magical variety? There's nothing wrong with that either. If you have an initial problem that pulls people in at first, and you're like, oh fuck, I want to see this character do this, and then you hit them later with something harder, you're like, oh fuck, you know? That also can work. Trying to think of another book that has that sort of thing, where it's like a small thing and then a big thing. I can't think of anything right now. It can also be solving a problem if you want to do like a prophecy story. You have a group of ancient Gandalf dudes solving the problem by creating a prophecy. Then your protagonist deals with said prophecy. Possibly. It also just depends on the rules of your world. I need to look up a thruster. Give me a second. I'm just making sure I keep my, my definitions correct. Can't help, none of my 12 books I've ever read fit that description. Fair. Okay, so this does not help me. This doesn't help me either. Sorry, I'm going through my references here. I wish I could read this. I have a ship pulled up, and I'm trying to read it. But it's really hard to see, and it's really frustrating me. Maybe this can help? What is this? I think this is someone else's thing. I don't want to use someone else's stuff. And it doesn't even label, like, it doesn't label anything, so there's no point. I'm looking at, what are they called? RPG, like, battle map ship layouts, and they're not really helping me. No offense to the person who made this. Oh, wait, here's something that's labeled. Hold on. Because what I'm trying to do is find anything that can help me see some sort of anatomy here. Okay, so we got the captain's quarters. That's right, we need quarters as well, but that's going to be on the upper level of the ship, which I will be drawing later. Captain's quarters. I'm just gonna write it over here as a note. And that'll be like somewhere up here. So the way the ship is going to look on the side, here's going to be what we see currently. And here's the thrusters on the side. But it's also gonna have this sort of like bit, and then it's going to have stuff down here. So this is going to curve, this is going to be straight, this is going to be a bunch of cargo hulls, and this is going to be captain's quarters, crew quarters, as well as where extra shields are located and protective places. So that's how I'm picturing this thing, but right now I'm just drawing the complete floor plan. I gotta catch your attention, hold on to it for just a little bit since slowly spoon feeds you the lore. I guess it's fair. But I do like romance stuff more. For me, it's like, oh yeah, here is character dealing with issue. Oh no. Oh, here is, in my case, here is a huggable monster that shows up somehow in order to help them feel better. Oh fuck, now they're both dealing with mutual bullshit because mutual bullshit has decided to focus on both of them. Yay, they fixed it. And now they're making out in the corner. That's usually the stuff I read. I've read shit where people have, like, what was it? People deal with criminals, they deal with, like, going to prison, like, or they're just chilling out on a nice little paradise planet, learning about the flora and fauna. It just depends on the story or the characters, for me at least. Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, those are the two major inspirations for me, and both those stories start off with, like, exciting, fun chase scenes, or, as I would prefer it, put it, explosions. Fair. Oh, you mean, like, a metaphorical explosion. Got it. Here's a bit. I thought you meant like you actually blew shit up. Orichalcum is a real metal. It was actually bronze, copper, or brass. Yeah, it was something or another. It was supposedly gold-looking with reddish tint to it. So it sounds like some sort of brass, I think. I think it was brass. And we supposedly have found actual orichalcum bars. And yes, it was an alloy. We don't know what the alloy was specifically, but we assume it was some sort of brass with maybe copper. We don't know. Big boom. In my romance novel, the main character for Moped gets crushed by the breed by accident. Big boom. You know what? That's fair. I guess, cause, okay, so I have like 30 fucking ideas for stories in my brain. I guess for me, my explosion, for more action-oriented romance stuff that I've written, one particular example that I can think of is one involving my, termite monster aliens. I wanted to have a story where they are in a perpetual war situation with an early Atlas, or someone akin to Atlas, like an early subsidiary, who's wanting resources from the planet, and they're acting like the natives are being so stingy, so we have to go in there because they're being aggressive. But there is a handful of humans who are actually, oh, have a good look, me, 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 me. There is a handful of humans who have sworn themselves to keep people alive, and they are war nurses and war doctors. And they bring back anyone, not just humans. They will heal the Kobesh, the termite aliens. One in particular, one war medic in particular, heals a specific termite and his brother, and while they're in the middle of doing all this shit, their own base gets attacked, and they're like, what the fuck, that's rude. In the pit of the fight, you know, the aliens and the humans both just scatter to get out of the whole thing, and that's when it starts a whole we have to stick together sort of story. And there is a bit more action in that one than what I normally come up with, but that's what I mean by, like, for me there's levels to this shit. It just depends on the situation. I would consider that a big boom, though. Home dog trying to heal an alien that's been fucked up and then get fucking blown up himself. He's like, oh shit, I gotta go. I think there was a recipe to make orichalcum found with bars of orichalcum in an ancient shipwreck. What was just brass, might remember wrong. Yeah, pretty much. That's what I remember as well. The informed part to remember when writing any story or DMing is that everyone does it differently. True. What works for one may not work for the other. True. That's perfectly okay. That's how we get amazing stories with vast diversity. Yeah! I'm Googling orichalcum. Yeah, it was a metal. Metal. And I know orichalcum means, like, gold something. It's not actual gold. It just means gold-like, I think. Because oros means gold in actual, like, ancient Greek. Or ancient Roman. Homie's out here gooing. I didn't know it was that kind of stream.
No, you're not bad.
I wasn't gooing, I was googling. I didn't mean to say gooing. Yeah, I think it was just brass. I believe orichalcum was also most likely a typo of the word orichalcum? Orichalcum, possibly. I just think it's really cool. And the reason people were obsessed with orichalcum for the longest fucking time is because Plato said, oh yeah, orichalcum was real popular in Atlantis. So then we thought, oh fuck, it's like some crazy ass mystical metal. It's just an alloy. And it was really cool. I think it, like, whenever it's shown in the light, it, like, looked a little red, which is why it's considered really crazy metal or whatever, but I don't know. It was also most likely... Oh, yeah. Nah, it was the Romans. Yeah, I fucked up on that part. That was just me, naming something stupid. Okay. Orichalcum is first mentioned in the 17th century BC by Hesiod and in the Homeric hymn dedicated to Aphrodite. Most people don't really think about that, though. They just think Atlantis. Because Plato was like, tee! And fuck it, that was it. Oh, I was reading this wrong. Sorry, I was looking at a key. Because, like, some of these have, like, oh, 1, bridge, and then they label it like 1, like that. And the key was swapped for me here. Sorry, not the Romans, the Greeks. But I thought it, was it? Wait. Was it the Romans or the Greeks anyway? I don't remember. I think Plato is Greek. So it was the Greeks. Listen, I ain't smart. That is a skiff. I don't need to worry about that. According to ancient Greeks, it was invented by Cadmus. That's more of this. That's the dorms. For ladder. Sorry, I'm just reading this deck plan according to this thing, and I'm not really liking how it's laid out. But I am trying to make a simple ship that doesn't have any primary functions. And some of these don't do that, and it's making me very upset. Mostly just makes me sad. They seem to be putting captain's quarters really close to the navigation system, which is interesting. I'm not sure how to process that. Your pizza ship is looking a lot like Star Trek. Yeah, kinda. I am kinda going Star Trek, like budget Star Trek. Yeah, all of these seem to put captain's quarters really close to the cockpit, the bridge, and I'm trying to figure out why. Because the way I'm going to be running mine, the captain's quarters, yes, the captain is going to be a part of navigation, but he's not going to be the one navigating. He's not the pilot. He's going to be the guy that's telling you what to do. Picard doesn't drive his own ship. Like, he also has an office, I see. I also have to think about how people get into the ship. And I'm thinking there might be some sort of, like, underneath this ship. Oh, wait, no. Oh, I'm a doofus. That's all you need to know. There we go. So, underneath the ship, there's going to be some sort of cockpit thing. Like this. This is going to be storage. Just storage. It's like your, it's like your car storage, basically. I saw something cool with my legs yesterday. Hello? Oh, what does that mean? I feel like you'd love the show Orville. Probably. I've heard about it, so I know what it is. So this would be storage. This is your... What is it called in the car? Now, everything will have a cargo hold. That's just where you keep shit. Your lower deck, basically. Maybe I'll make it a little smaller. Hold up. After losing weight for a while, I could see muscle definition and muscle movements. I haven't seen that in years. That's cool. Good job. First gooing. Now. Now this. Listen. What is it called? What's the trunk? That's what it's called. So this would technically be the trunk of the car. That is my spaceship. And it would also be a bay, I believe. Let's make it more like this. I like this. And this is also how you get up. I'm actually gonna have to, it's not called the trunk, it's called the badonkadonk. In English, in England, they call it the boot. We call it the trunk. Let's see. Yeah, and in here, this is how you get into the ship. So this would be like a big-ass door right here, and it would open up a ramp to let you walk in and bring stuff in and stuff like that. And that will always be on the bottom of the ship, because the bottom of the ship is easiest to shield, to take care of. Everything is a door if you hit it hard enough. Fair. My spaceship shall have a 0G sexitaria. What is that? What does that mean? So the cargo hold can have stuff, materials, whatever, but it can also be a hangar. It's just to hold stuff, and a hangar is to hold ships, cargo is to hold cargo. Fun fact, NASA did a research about what it was like to do it in space in 0%. And nobody liked it. No, I don't think you would. You need a bit of gravity. Also, it wouldn't go anywhere. It would just... I say it, you know what I'm talking about. The splosh would not go anywhere. It would just probably bubble up and gunky bullshit. Yeah, the spug. It would just be gross. Alright, so this is the bottom layer. I can turn that off for now. So we have the cargo hold done. So where is my cargo? Storage. That's technically my cargo, or my trunk, quote-unquote. I have my propulsion system. Those are my thrusters right here. Those are also for steering, but the steering is up here in the cockpit. You actually use it, and it probably has, like, wiring down here in the previous one, like this, attaching to this thing. I'm not going to go into all of the fucking inner workings, though, because I love myself. Okay, so the body, I don't have to worry about. We're already drawing that thing. The engine. I'm thinking of having a dual engine system where you have to fuck with both engines. And they're both attached to the left and right thrusters. So electrical and engineering is probably all going to be back here. Maybe even right here to kind of keep it a little balanced. So think of it as kind of like two small engines instead of one big engine in the front. Although I do think what I'm going to do is move this down a little more. Because this is obviously going to be some sort of window, and in here is going to be some sort of engine attachment that connects to everything. Good luck with the world building and the writing. Everyone here is awesome. Yeah! I agree, everyone here is awesome. Okay, let me move this down. What the fuck? That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this. Let me bring my bridge down here and cockpit down here, because this is technically the cockpit. Yeah, this is the cargo hold below, so I can do this. Okay, fuel. Cargo hold also probably has extra fuel and shit. But I'm gonna just do this. Actually, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna move these down a little more. And I'll clean this up once I'm done fiddling with it. You wanna go to space real quick? Here we go. Hi, Lilin. So I think what I'm gonna do is add extra thrusters here. And I will show you for what in a moment. Although maybe it shouldn't go here. Hold on. The reason it shouldn't go here is because this thing can turn and bump into it, and I don't want that to happen. Sorry, I'm slowly molding this thing, crafting this thing, if you will. If these things can turn, because these things can rotate. They can go this way and shoot fire this way. They can turn this way, shoot fire this way. I need to consider how they would be built. Because think of this as kind of like a shoulder handle, and this is arms, and they can just move any direction they want to go. Maybe this should be out a little more. Also, how you doing, Lilin? How goes the Worldbuilding? Worldbuilding's going good. A spacecraft, if you will. World building is going good so far. I am crafting a very, very simple, basic ship design so that I can figure out how to design later ships. This is basically just a... I accumulated it to like an RV, but think of it as like a live-in ship that you can just live in. You live in this fucker. And I'm gonna give it a propulsion system right here. Now, this is the thruster system, the we're going to move now system that's connected to the bridge up here, like so, in the interior of the ship. Ah, the USS Basic Bitch, exactly. And these are going to be my... I don't need them to be spitting on each other. These are going to be my faster than light propels. So this ship has something called faster than light travel. Most ships created by Atlas and other competing companies on Earth, as well as a few other planets, have something called lighter than aircraft and faster than light travel. So lighter than aircraft means that this thing has, in its bottom right here, let's do this, it has hover platforms here, 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 and probably here. These things let this thing hover and float. And they act kind of like an anti-gravitational system, built a little bit with heat in mind to make sure this thing can, like, float. It has big ones and it has little ones, and this helps you stay off the ground if you want to just hover around the place you're at. My bottom is not lighter than air. True. So that's the undercarriage of this thing. The cargo hold, the hangar bay, and then the little pads used for lighter than aircraft. And now I'm working on the faster than light travel system. So let me do that real quick. These are... I'm gonna do it this way. So, what would I call this? Hover system, I guess? This is your hover system. And everything also has a hover system. And these are your propulsion system in a way. These are your thrusters. They're the ones that let you pew, go forward, do this, and it pushes you forward. These are going to kick your ship in the dick and make it go super fast. So what would I want to call these? Warp drive? This is your warp drive ship. This is your warp drive propulsion system. I like that. Warp drive propulsion. So we got regular ass thrusters and rudders. This is like a thruster rudder combo, I guess. And this will be your propulsion system. That will make you go fast. You've got your goey uppies and your goeys yeeties. Exactly. You've got regular drivies and then you've got your zoomies. Did that help? So engineering will also be right here. Come on, draw a straight line, idiot. Okay. And then you will have a fun little door right here, because this is like a hallway, pretty much. This is a big-ass hallway, in a way. And here is where engineering will be taking place. You will have different machines and engine systems. Up here is also a type of engine system. But, you know, we don't fuck with that. So I'll just say this is part of the engine. As is this. They're all pieces coming together because this is where you navigate. This is the navigation part. You will have inner workings inside the ship to connect to the back that pushes you. Kind of like the inside of a car, once again. This would be the engine and the battery and all that and how to actually drive the car. And then underneath the car, but in this case it will be in the sides and in between these spaces, where you have your suspension, your actual, what's it called? Your, like, the, not fuselage, that's a aircraft. It's got all your pipes, it's got all your extensions, it's got your suspension, it's got your exhaust, and it all comes out over here. So that's what that's in there. Drivetrain? No, not a train. This is a spaceship. And I'm trying to equate it to a car, because a car is all I know. I'm not good at airplanes, I'm not good at spaceships, I'm not good at regular ships. I've been looking them up, but they don't help me as much to understand this as I do with a regular vehicle. Okay, so I'm gonna have these all lined up. These are going to be different machines and mechanical pieces that can connect you to the ship in a way, and you have to wiggle around in here and repair stuff. There is enough space for people to get through, but you have to be careful. Oh, so it's like headlight fluid bladder. Sure. Sure, Lilin. Sure. Oh, also let me add some stuff here so they can have a machine for the propulsion system. Just engine stuff. Engineering room. Oh. This is the engineering room. This is part of the engine, and it runs throughout the whole ship, and these are the thrusters. And technically it has exhaust, it just comes out from the bottom of the ship, near the gravitational stuff. Quote-unquote exhaust. It just exudes heat. because they don't use oil for these things, obviously. They have access to electric energy. They also have access to particle energy. They don't fuck around with fuel like that anymore. They need a renewable energy resource, or they will be stranded in space. Now, the way I have an idea for this on how it works, they could definitely park themselves near a sun, especially on a planet that has an atmosphere, to soak up as much radiation as they can with whatever solar panels they have on the top and sides of their ship. Because I'd like to think that the chassis of the ship has built-in solar. However, collecting it like that is going to be not nearly as efficient as like going to a station and just charging yourself up. So, you have options, but also, you can last, like, months on whatever energy you collect. So it's not like, oh, I have to stop every, I don't know, 3 days to charge something. No, that's not how this shit works anymore. You do not have to stop all that often. It's good to make regular stops so that you can have your shit checked up on. But they don't usually do that. They don't worry about that nowadays. Okay, so since I have the hangar here, I have an idea. So to match with the top, I'm also going to have a door here as well. And what I'm going to add outside of the engine is 2 elevators, here and here. And then outside, they will have the 2 elevators. And they'll pop out from here. Or should I have it closer to the door? I think I'll have it closer to the door. That's what I'll do. So like this, 2 elevators. There we go. So this will take you to the hangar. It just goes up and down, and I feel like the third thing of the ship also has a thing that lines up with the elevator, but I'm not working on the 3rd level yet. I'm just working on the middle level. Alright, let me go through here. We've got the engine. I guess we kind of got the fuel. We don't know. Well, the fuel is a combination of energy and particle stuff, so. We've got the body, technically. The brake is technically in the thrusters, so I don't have to worry about all that. We have hovering now. Oh, we do also in this thing have food, water, oxygen, and gravity simulation. So I could just write that down real quick. So this ship has water filter. Can I correctly write, please? Thanks. Are you gonna add little space critters like barnacles or zebra mussels that oh, that'd be really cute! I do like the idea of there being high atmosphere animals. You know, like space jellyfish or stingrays that are very thin and kite-like that live in the atmosphere. I love the idea of creatures existing like that, so I could definitely see a ship popping out with creatures that can live in little to no atmosphere. Because this is sci-fi, quote-unquote, but I also have a lot of fantasy elements that I want to add in. And I love the idea of little space creatures hanging out. Maybe some are like an invasive species, so you have to get your ship like space rats that live in your ship's ventilation. Aw, cute little 4-eyed rats with a little antenna. Anyway. Yeah, I would love the idea of there being little space critters to have to deal with. Alrighty, so what was he doing? Right, gravity system. oxygen system. And then you have a water filter and a food system. So these are the 4 main things that a ship needs to keep its people alive. You need your gravitational system, your gravity system, to make sure people don't float around all day. They can walk around. You need an oxygen system so they can fucking breathe. You need a water filtration system to make sure, you know, they're going bathroom and doing fine and being able to flush stuff. That goes through a filtration process. And then a food replicator using both storage and particles. I imagine hearing the rat type beep. Going through the fence. Be nice to the little ratters. So those are going to be the systems inside. So we've written down oxygen, gravity, food, and water. We also have electrical. That is running through the engineering. Seating! We'll be getting seating here in just a moment. We also need sleeping. We need place for sleepies. Places to skeebies and minis. Sorry. That song is now stuck in my head. Alright, so in here we have the bridge, office, head? I don't know what that means. Airlock. There's technically airlocks in the ship. I'm sure there's different parts that lock themselves down. Sleepy rooms. Sleepy bo-beepy roombies. Ship locker. Oh, I'm sure there's a tiny bit of storage up here, so you don't have to... See, oh god, bless me. Why no drawing tablet today? Oh, because I forgot to turn it on. Ugh. So, I'm thinking... I'm gonna do this. Oh. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this.
Thank you for the pet, Salem.
So... trying to consider how I'm gonna do this. So these are going to be quote-unquote bedrooms, possible bedrooms. And I'm gonna have a bed here, maybe. Here's a little sleepy bo-beepy bedtime. Here are doors right here and doors right here. Maybe they have a little closet right here for it. And then over here, I'll do the same thing. Here's some beds. Actually, hold up. I got a better idea for closets. I like to do this for closets. I like to combine them together into one little room like this, because it makes stuff easier. So here's a door, here's a door. This would be a closet for this guy, this would be a closet for this guy. And then let's put the bed here, here's a pillow. Maybe he has a desk or whatever, maybe this guy also has a desk here or whatever. So these are going to be like some bedrooms here and there. Remember, this ship is supposed to be very tiny and compact. This is like a family of 4 kind of ship. And then in here will be the common room. So because this ship is little, they might have... Oh, they'll also need a place to bathroom. I feel like there could be...
Because you need a latrine.
I see no latrine in this ship that I'm looking at, and that's kind of funny, but also kind of sad. So I'm gonna put 4 little latrines here, where you can go potty here, and then you can shower here. So this is where you wash. This is where you go potty. Ah yes, the most important part of the starship, the pissatorium. The pee place. The piss boy place. So yeah, I'm gonna have 2 bathrooms, 1 on each side. It's usually a good idea to have half as many bathrooms as you do people. It's usually the rule of thumb I go. If you have 4 bedrooms, it's usually good to have 2 bathrooms, unless one of them is a master, in which case you have a bathroom attached to that as well. But this particular ship vessel does not have a master, so I'm not including that here. So let's say you have a master bedroom, a bathroom attached to it, and then 2 bedrooms. You have 1 bathroom for those 2, and the master bathroom and bedroom combo. So you'll have 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom. That's the usual thing that I like to do. So after that, I'm actually going to do this. I want to bring this down just a little. Just to give it a little bit of space. Space. There we go. And like I said, I'll fix all this shit up later. So, I'm gonna have a kitchen area, probably over here. Like a small kitchenette. For cooking and doing all that sort of stuff. Like, well, cooking if you'd like, but there's also probably just these replicators that are chilling here. And then you have a table where you can all sit and chill. Maybe you'll have 1 extra table because maybe you'll have like extra people coming over sometimes. So that could be the eating area, and then we will have the living area, quote unquote. I want to have a little lounge. Maybe some sort of TV for news. And then we have like a little lounge seat. Maybe the couch does this cool sci-fi curve thing, who knows? There we go. Something like that. So this is a pretty good basic setup that I can think of for home stuff. For like if you were on a ship and it was basically your home. Maybe I'll add a little reading nook over here. You know, just for whoever wants to read. And the people in this ship will be about this big. Like, it's a pretty big ship. It's a home. But it's actually very small in comparison to other ships. So this is how I think I will do it. Yeah. Okay. So let me label this stuff. So this will be the lounge. Or the common room, I guess. And over here is where you eat. And this is just clear to be open so people can walk back and forth. Maybe there will even be like a color difference on the tiles. Like, for instance, maybe this is a tile. Or maybe there's even a wall here sometimes. Maybe there can be a wall. But these could be tile differences, and then this could be like carpet or another kind of tile. Because I know certain houses nowadays separate rooms by tiling them like that, so I could definitely do that as well. And with that, I believe my very basic ship setup is finished. Like I said, basic, very, very basic. I can check mark this off. So, as far as this ship is concerned, there is no captain's quarters, there is no, well, true captain's quarters. The captain's quarters will be in here somewhere. Because remember, this is a very, very small ship. This is not a ship that my players will be on. This is a ship that is some sort of like little scouter or a home ship that people live on. They will have some sort of authority, whether that be your mom or your current scouting captain, you know, who knows, but this is going to be a very tiny little ship. Now, on top of this ship, I think I'm going to turn off the cargo and then bring up the top layer. So let me do this. Oh. No, level 2 works. Because the cargo does not count. I'll make it an S for storage. Cargo does not count towards levels. So this is what they are so far. Here's the cargo bay. How you get on the ship. You walk up onto it. You usually boop, 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 go up here. And then you can either hop in here, put some boxes down with whatever you're doing, or come in here into the cargo hold and move it in. But you could also come in here, go into the elevator, and then boop, boop, end up right here. And you can step on out and explore the ship. But the elevator can also go up one more. Let me figure out which one I want to do here. Oh, I'll stretch my legs. Alright, I'm going through some lists that I have right now. Right, I have an RV pulled up. Oh, bed lifting mechanism. That's a good idea. Maybe the beds can be raised up onto the wall to make more space for bedrooms sometimes. But I have windows, obviously. They all have windows. Slide out mechanisms we don't need. Axles, no. Steps, that's technically in the cargo hold. Towable chassis, no. Barrage door, no, I don't need that. Leveling, yes, but that's just the little legs at the bottom. Suspension enhancements, no. Electronics, yes. Mattresses, yes. Awnings, no. Showers and sinks, yes. They have bathrooms, they have sinks, they have little showers. Furniture, yes. Okay, so everything for a modern RV has been documented in this thing. So I can close this out. Let me look at another ship example real quick. That takes you to the top. I'm gonna keep this open. I have something called an RPG ship like website pulled open, and I've been kind of using it as, what's the word, as like inspiration, but some of these don't really help because it's not labeled anything, and it makes me very sad. Like, please label your ship parts so I know what to look for and what I want to include. I'm gonna open a few of these. You're hearing me opening stuff. I honestly don't think I need to add anything more to this specific ship, because this one is really, really small. Now, obviously, there's probably going to be some sort of gun system. Maybe that's what I have here. Let me do this. Because every ship needs some sort of defense. I'm going to add just some extra padding back here. But here's the elevators, again. I could probably do this to let myself know it's elevators. Like, those are your elevates. There we go. So, those are your elevators. And this can be... Oh, hold on. This can be where you go to shoot bang. So you'll come into these little cockpits, like so. Maybe there's one here, maybe there's one here. And this would be for like a scouter, maybe. And this is where you go when you want to shoot bang some guns. So let's say there's a turret up here. If this ship has guns. Let's say those are the turrets. And then this is also where shields can be activated. So there will be shielding that pops up here for energy interference. So that will be the top. This is where you go to shoot shit. And also probably get commands and stuff. So I think this is a pretty good little ship. It has everything it could need, such as guns for protection, shield for protection, because everything needs some sort of protection. Especially if a lot of these ships come from retired scouters. Yes, scouters are used for more... What's the word? Not incognito. Espionage? No. It's when you sneaky. My brain. Not quite stealth. Oh, no, I can't remember what it's called. It's a word in my brain. But no, scouters are meant for speed, getting through shit very quickly, recording information, but you still need some sort of protection. So that's what they got here. Now, it just gets bigger from here. And it just becomes more specialized from here. These are the most bare bones ass little ships that you can get. So there will be ships that are absolutely fucking massive with 30 bedrooms or 30 rooms. A big common room, place for eating. Clandestine! Thank you! Thank you! Clandestine was the word I was thinking of. Yes, clandestine. I got some dust on me. But yes, they're for more clandestine stuff. But they can get bigger, and they can get stupider. Now the question is, do I want to do all that? Because I don't know if I want to work on a ship that big yet. Especially since I technically want to see what my players are going to pick first. So the way this is going to go down, sorry, I got dust on me. I'm getting coffee from it. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to have a fun little thing and see what all of my future players pick for their training. And they will get a job based on that training, whatever that job may entail. So for instance, if you go into the science and medical field, you can either be an ecologist, a medic, a nurse, someone who makes the medicine. Like, you can do medical shit, science shit, research shit. If you have a military training background, you can be a bodyguard. You can also be a soldier. You could be a mercenary. You have multiple job ideas. I can be the one good medic. Lilin, there's only one good medic. But yeah, so whatever players will end up picking will determine what the ship is. Like, for instance, if for some reason they all picked research, you would probably be an ecological vessel. You would be going around disturbing the natural life of different alien planets for your own agendas. If you, for some reason, all pick diplomat, you are now a diplomatic ship, and it's your job to not piss off the locals long enough to either get someone to come in and help you, or gun them all down because they're not be able to be reasoned with. Anyway, the science team! You're so right. Everyone's gonna be dressed in thigh-highs and a lab coat, and that's it. But yeah, so I'm not going to be designing the ship for any campaign yet. This, however, is a very good starting point. I also want to start designing other ship shape types, so I don't need this anymore. But I got my basic. I got my basic bitch ship here. I can actually do this. Hold up. There we go. So this is my basic ship. My basic bitch-ass ship. Can I move this? Not with this I can't. Damn it. Okay, hold on. Yay. Let me move it more to the middle. Let's make it a little easier on me. There we go. So, I do want there to be... Are you really exploiting alien cultures all on your own? No, I'm with the science team. I'm with the science team! We're all doing it! Well, this one has stairs. Stairs is pretty smart. I feel like when the elevator goes out, they have to use some sort of stairs. But they don't usually use the stairs. Because they usually don't need to. Also, the bigger the ship, the more amenities you get. Such as, you know, a captain's quarters, or like a med bay. Maybe a barracks of some sort of armory where you can go do that shit. Otherwise, you just got a first aid kit underneath the bathroom sink. Pretty much. You don't get cool med pod treatment. You don't get the cool stuff if you're in a really tiny ship. But my players will not be. They'll get basic amenities. Granted, I'm saying basic amenities. They're not gonna get too much. Y'all ain't high enough rank for that yet. Okay, sorry, I'm just opening up some more shuttle ideas because, like I said, I want the shapes to indicate what they are. And this is all Atlas, by the way. This is all going to be Atlas designs. Other spacefaring species will have different designs of ships. So that way, if you see... I'm so tempted to make it a fucking budget Star Trek-ass ship just because it's funny. But let's say you see a ship like this. Let's actually make it the White Pill. For those of you who don't know what the White Pill is, it's supposedly an alien ship that we saw fly by us.
Better. Better.
Then let's give it its back propulsion system. And let's give it its thrusters that go up. Underneath, like so. So we're gonna pretend this is an Atlas medical vehicle. This is where you drive from right here. This is your driving. Maybe this is where the engines are here. This is where the crew sleep. Maybe there's little bathrooms on either side. Because remember, this ship is going to be big. This one's going to be a lot bigger. And then underneath, you will have some sort of little cargo bay for medical personnel. And you have both ramps and elevators to help people in. So here's engineering right here, attached to this thing. Here's all the machines or whatever. Here's the door. It's a lot bigger. But then, here's the common room. Because remember, elevators go here. This ship is a lot bigger. This can be storage, right here and here. Just upper storage, so you can get to it a lot quicker. And then here can be a little common room for where people sit and chat. Maybe there's chairs here, and then an office here for people to talk to people, and then doors here. And outside of this, you have medical pod rooms. I'll do it this way. My face is just... sorry about that. I'll do it this way. So these are going to be rooms here for medical, and these are going to be rooms here for medical. So this would be like a purely medical ship where you're flying around constantly, healing people, and you're basically like a moving hospital in a way. This would be Atlas, and the reason you know is because of the thruster design, and it would have some sort of logo on the side. Probably... oh, wait, hold on. Let me do this. It would probably have some sort of logo on this side that looks like this. I believe I did it this way. And yes, this kind of looks like the Star Trek logo. I meant it to be like that because it's funny. And also, it's an A. It's a stylized A for Atlas. And then you have the C inside of it for company. Atlas Company. So this is going to be their logo. They might even have a cute little planet right here, who knows. But you'll see that and you'll be like, okay, this is a medical ship because it looks like a fucking can. And then here's its thrusters. And there it is. There's a little ship. So that is a prime example of what I mean by ship types. But you'll usually tell what kind of ship it is. However, if you see this medical ship, and then you get hit by something that looks like fucking... like, maybe you get hit with a shape like this, and you're like, what the fuck is that? It's probably not Alice. It doesn't have, like, the same cylinder thrusters in the back. It doesn't have that basic model. It's some sort of weird fuck-ass ship. I'll even remove its thrusters back here. You're like, how the fuck are they moving? Maybe they have some sort of different propulsion system like this, and you have no clue how that thing runs. I have an idea, actually. I'll do it this way. There we go. And you just see this stupid weird-ass shape. That's not Atlas. That's someone else. And fucking run. On the flip side, you could still see ships that are shaped kind of like Atlas. I'll do the Zayden ships, for instance. They are also a cylinder shape, but they're huge, and that's all they are. They're just big-ass cylinders. Sometimes they're smaller cylinders attached to bigger cylinders, like this. And then maybe you've got littler ones clinging to this. And that's because they're made to be cities. And they're huge. They're absolutely fucking massive, and it looks like they're made out of some sort of rock. Like they were carved from the middle of a mountain. Like Oumuamua, almost, but, you know, smooth. That would be considered a city ship for a Zayden, so it just depends on what you're looking at. But yeah, so what we got going on here is the different types of ships that I want to have. So obviously I want a scouter. Those are going to be the smallest ones that go off and do stuff. So small ships that do scouting missions. Reconnaissance missions. That's a good word for it, too. I cannot spell reconnaissance, but that is okay. Alright, so scouter freighters. And I want them all to end with because it'd be really cute. Freighters are your giant cargo ships. Alright, so these are basically just straight up freightliners that we have on our planet. I think they're called freightliner. Yeah, kind of a freightliner. They're basically your giant delivery trucks. Freighters, fighters, scouters, and fuckers. I mean diplomats. So, scouter, freighter, fighters, obviously, are going to be a thing. Fighters are going to be your fighter jets. Large ships for war. Made for combat. And each of these ships, like I said, are specialized. So a scouter will literally be just this zippy little fucking hummingbird of a goddamn ship. Freighters will be these big... Okay, so here, let me do this. Scouters. These fucking zippy ass little triangles. Freighters. Big ass fucking square boys. They'll have their propulsion system. Maybe they'll even have 2 propulsion systems. But they're gonna have slots for just freights of craters in here. Huge fucking chonker. Big old boy. Big old chonky man. Fighters are going to be more pentagonal. And they're going to be made for fighting. They are very good at dogfights. They might also have even little spikes on the ends to just pew 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 pew. And they're going to have a lot more, like, guns on top. Now, every ship will have some mode of protection, but the fighter is offensive. They also have tiny little ships that come out as tiny mini fighters that will come out and fight for you. Now, not to be confused, once again, with the actual fighting vessels of the 21st century, we have cruisers. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You cruise. Large luxury ships. For vacationers. These make fucking bank. Now, cruisers can be different types of ships. Just like all of these could be different types of ships, freighters can be used for merely toting animals. Fighters can only be used, maybe they're having, maybe they're, like, specialized in setting out mini freighters. Maybe it's just a big old fucking tank by itself. Who knows? Cruisers are the same way. They have subsets. You can have hotels inside of them. You can have casinos, like what I believe Arson said earlier. These are entertainment cruisers, and they go around showing people the stars and letting them gamble their life savings away and getting drunk and possibly imbibing in a few orgies. Who fucking knows? Those are the pleasure ships, basically. The fuckers, as Lilith said. Now, I did have ideas for a few more, but I'm gonna have to think about that. I also need to close out some of my tabs, because I have way too many that's open right now. I mean, way too many. Let's see. There was also going to be, like I said, moving hospitals. So medical ships, but I don't have any, like, fun term for them yet. I'll figure that out in a minute. So we got for... Oh, and of course you're gonna have your nomadic ships. Which, those are ships of a people that are escaping from somewhere. This is like more like a refugee ship, and it usually doesn't have more than 10 to 15 people on it. This is more like a family ship where they got out of bullshit. And then we'll have city ships. This is even bigger nomadic ships. So these three aren't strictly Atlas. These are actually named by Atlas, which is why they got the at the end. Not to say Atlas does not have medical ships, I'm sure they do, but they typically don't have nomadic or city ships. That is for aliens that are specifically moving away from their home. I'm sure there's going to also be a few more types than this. Oh yeah, diplomatic vessels as well. There's diplomatic vessels. I also want there to be bioships. Ships that are real, like creatures that you can live inside. But that's just a type of ship, not an actual, like, specified job for a ship. There's also delivery. You can be a deliverer. Not a freighter, a delivery. This is more of like a jack-of-all-trades sort of ship, where you do a little bit of everything. You can fight if you have the right people, but you're mostly the kind of person, like, moving shit around. Little bits of things, and you're very fast. You're a scouter. You're like a scouter-freighter combo, in a way. That's the most common ship, I would want to say. Let me go through the ships that I got here and see if I can't find anything else I can think of. Well, now I'm just staring at the Enterprise again. It's a very nice ship. This is the Defidin. This ship looks really nice as well. I'm gonna keep this one open, just for my sense of self. Arboretums! There are gardens floating around. I forgot about that. So, if you don't know what an arboretum is, an arboretum is a sanctioned off piece of land where you have natural greenery growing, plants, maybe even a few animals running around. It's just a place where you can walk around and see nature. Space garden. A Spartan! Sure, Lilin. A Spartan, if you will. Arboretum. There we go. Arboretums are fucking gorgeous. But they're usually fenced off and protected gardens. Big old gardens that you can see pretty stuff. The arboretum that I went to a lot when I was a kiddo, they had a bunch of little signs that told you what the different plants were, and it was really cool. So an arboretum is probably used for a couple of things. One, it's probably used to grow food for, you know, consumption. They're probably near a space station. I'm gonna put down a station as well, just to... Space station. This is a type of ship that doesn't move. It just kind of hovers in a certain part of space, and constantly emits signals so that people know where to go. And the space station is where you usually want to go. That's your pit stop. That's convenience store. That's your convenience store in space. The Arboretum is your grocery store in space. Pretty much. It's also where you want to go if you want to start terraforming a planet. You can be like, hey y'all, I need some starters. And they're like, cool. And then they give you starters. And you're like, sweet. And then you go plant your starters in your biodome. And you're like, oh, I didn't water them enough and now they're dead. And then you gotta go get more starters. What am I hearing? What am I hearing? Get out of here. Weird. That was a weird fucking song that started playing on this fucking playlist. Fuck that, I'm getting that out of here. Alright, so yeah, your space station is your convenience store in space. It's where you get your fuel, snacks, A delivery. Mailman. Mailman. Or mailman Uber driver. Your delivery truck is if you were a mailman and an Uber driver. And the Arboretum, yeah, is your grocery store in space. A medical ship is a hospital in space. Your city ship is just, you live here, idiot. There we go. Diplomatic ship, that's the Pope Mobile. You know what I mean when I say the Pope Mobile. Nomadic. Tiny escape ship. And nomadic ships don't necessarily have to mean that the person in there is a nomad or running away from something. A lot of merchants like to use nomad ships because they're used for long distance travel. They have a good amount of storage, but not enough to like slow you down. And you're pretty fast, so you can get to places with all of your stuff very quickly. So merchants love using nomad ships. I'm gonna say merchant. It's your merchant ship, pretty much. It's your traveling merchant. Okay, so I can't think of any other ship types for now, but I'm sure if more come to me, I will write them down. I'm gonna close out some more of these tabs. I do have ships opened just so I can, like, get more ideas for more ship types, but these are fine. These are perfectly good for what I want. This is a really good example of what I want for a fucking freighter. Look how fucking fat that boy is. Model by Chris Kuhn. Good for him. And concept by James. There you go. There's your, thick. Yeah, there's your credits right there. But yeah, this fucker is huge. This is a good idea. I wouldn't want it open like this because one shot to the fucking freight and you'll, like, lose all of that cargo if it's a good enough hit. But I do love that shape. I'm going to be using that. And they'll definitely have big doors that let you slip freight, like cargo freights, into those things like that. That's a really cool design. And this is for just galactic imports. I say galactic, more like galactic arm imports. Okay, I think I'm pretty much done designing ship types. I just need to draw the ship types, like what they would look like. I've already kind of started doing that over here. Let me get rid of that and actually start doing it a little better. So, like I said, this basic could have been a scouter. They don't have, like, hi, Jeannie, welcome in. They don't have, like, standard quote-unquote basic ships. Like, they don't have cars for you to drive, but ships this time. The most you can do for that is get a retired scouter. That's what this would be. A basic would be a retired scouter. A current scouter would still have everything that the basic has, but it would probably have active guns, active energy cells for ammunition, shit like that. And it would probably have a fully working warp drive system. I would like to think retired scouters got some of that shit removed, and now people just use it as like an RV. Because you're not gonna just scrap the whole thing if it still functions. If it's been retired, though, people will buy it. They're interested in it. But the others are a little more specialized, so it's a bit difficult to sell them and turn them into something else. So let's work on that. So this thing is shaped kind of like a diamond, but with a weird diamond shape. Like it's a... You'll see. I will show. But So the Scouter has, it's kind of like a warship. It's got that little triangular shape. But the Scouter is more of a diamond, and it'll have its little propulsion system, which this is an Atlas design, this little propulsion system. This is how they do it. It's how they figured out how to properly cannibalize the technology from alien tech onto their own. And it's just the most efficient way they do it. So a lot of companies on Earth try to kind of Temu version, make it look like that. So maybe you'll see some Scouters that are kind of squat with like pulsars that are big sometimes, like something looking a little janky. Atlas is definitely the like main brand when it comes to this kind of stuff, which is why they're going to be the main company that my players work for. So this is a Scouter, also known as the Basic. There he is. He's hanging out. And then we have a Freighter. I want these boys to be chonky. Big, chonky boys. Big boys. I like big boys. And I feel like they're going to have some sort of cool-ass skeletal structure, maybe? Of the, like, the chassis is like... Well, I don't know if chassis is the correct word. Chassis is more like the basic body. The actual fuselage slash body is the top part of it. But yeah, a Freighter is a big fat man. Big boy. Big baby. So how I'm going to do this is, here's the propulsion system right here for pew-pew-pewing. This guy's propulsion system is like right here. Pew-pew-pew-pew-pew. And then here is where the thrusters are going to be attached. And the thrusters are going to come in 4. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. And these two are kind of like at the bottom. I want it to look like this if you're looking at it from the back. So here's where they're coming from, and then here's the freighters. So it's like this. Here would be the back end, if you're looking at its butt. So these things kind of like open and move around. So like, it almost looks like a 4-fingered claw, almost. So like, here's thruster 1, here's thruster 2, it's attached to the ship right here, and in the back over here, here's thruster 3 and thruster 4. And I want them to be able to move from each other. So like, one could go this way, one could go this way, one could turn this way, and one could close in. Because they need to turn this thing at a much more aggressive angle because of just how fucking big this fucker is. Hi, Mulser. Hi, Mal. That's fucking creepy. Thanks. I needed that this morning. Whose emotes is that? Tell them their emotes are cursed. Let them know. Hi, how you doing? Alright, so this would be a Freighter. Big, chonky motherfucking boy. And we love him for that. This is the big boy. Alright. And then the fighters. The fighter jets. I'm gonna go stare at a few, what are they called? Like sci-fi. Can I type correctly, please? No? Okay. So I want these things to look fucking vicious. I want them to look mean and aggressive. Nah. I kind of like this design. But dude, what if I just made it look like a giant gun? That would be funny. Hear me out. It just looks like a gun. That'd be really funny. Hold on, let me go, I might combine it with the my pen's on my mouth, by the way. Let me spit that out. I might combine it with a fighter jet design and a gun. It's like a fighter jet and a gun made a baby. I think that'd be really funny. And obviously there's gonna be different models, but this is just the basic shit. But it'd be really funny. So these are spacecrafts. Yes, this is World Building Wednesday, and I'm working on spaceships for my Eldritch Nova TTRPG. It is a sci-fi fantasy combo, and I'm trying to come up with basic ship designs so that when, you know, my players see a specific ship type, they're like, oh, I know what that is. And then they can, you know, either know it's friend or foe, or they know to, like, fucking run away from it because they're like, oh, fuck, that thing's gonna fuck me up. You know, like, good shorthand to know what types of ships exist. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And right now I'm just looking at types of warships, like fighter ships, to figure out how I'm gonna do this. I really like the idea of making it look like a gun. Best thing about spacecrafts, aerodynamics and structural stability are afterthoughts. Fair. You know what I thought of for my ship? This is the basic ship that I created. How make go? Engine. So how make go. Place sleep. So you can sleep. How make turn. That's thrusters. How make go faster. That's my warp drive. I did it. So you turn it and make it go. That's it. Best thing. And also how to stop it. It probably got front jets to be like, nope. Slow down, fucko. Because in space, if you start moving something, you just keep going. So you have to be very careful about not crashing into shit. Which means they probably have counter propulsion in the front of the ship somewhere. But other than that, I don't think too hard about it. I'd like to think I'm not giving too much away. Okay, so I think I might do this. Dude, these could be mini fighters. Okay, look, this looks like just two guns. I want to kind of do this, but maybe in like a slightly different way. Because it's just really funny to me to think about it. Just a ship looking like a gun. A big fighter should have a lot of sloped, rounded surfaces to increase chance of strafe shots or ricochets. Yeah. Oh, that looks really cool. I'm looking at Star Wars ships as well as Star Trek ships just to get a better idea of how I would want to do this.
Look at that little guy. It's so small.
I'm also thinking of having different parts of the ship be very thin so that it has a hard time getting hit. Also, it makes the ship a lot easier to fly. Because it's like, pew, you know, it's very fast. I have an idea. What if it was a gun, but upside down? What if it looked like this? I keep calling it a gun, but hear me out. And then it was really thin in certain parts. Hold on, let me redo this. So what if it had a propulsion system in the back that helped it move super fucking fast? So there's propulsions here and here. And they shoot very quickly. They're not meant for... Yeah, Lillian was trying to take your title. What if... I'm thinking of tiny fighters at the moment. I'll think of big fighters in a minute. They would be more like tanks. But I'm thinking more like tiny little jets that zip around. Like, that only have like 1 to 2 people in it. Probably just 1, usually. It could have a bunch of propulsion on this tail bit, and then it could have a little pod for sitting in, And then tiny little curves here to help with its, like, aerial dynamics. And then gun, obviously, some sort of pew 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 shooty thing. And this is used to make them just fucking zip. Just fucking zippy bo-bippies. And these would be little mini fighters that they could pop out and just start fucking gunning things down. Of bigger freighters. Now, or fighters. Bigger fighters would probably look more akin to a tank. And they would be like the quote-unquote mothership to these little ships that are firing off on all cylinders and running around. I think I might do something like that. Because I do like the idea of them looking like a tiny gun. It's just really funny. Oh, they do need little guns. I have an idea. I don't want the gun on the top. I want the gun on the sides. So what if we have little guns sticking out like this on either side, and it's like pew 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 pew. You can patch a hole in a spaceship with duct tape. Wait, yeah, that sounds about right. It's way more difficult to construct a submarine than it is constructing a spaceship. The atmospheric difference in space is 1. One Earth atmosphere is none. In a submarine, the pressure increase by atmosphere is every 10 meters. You can patch a hole in the spaceship with duct tape. That sounds like the most human fucking thing I've ever heard, and it's great. Alright, so mini fighter. Let me draw him up here since I've finished designing what I want it to look like. So here's this big ol' freighter boy. He's huge. He's got this imposing. Mini fighters have little tails. And I feel like they're diamond shaped so that they can just zip faster. Now, of course, space does not have atmospheric or wind pressure to really slow you down, but for the propulsion rate anyway, when it happens, they've still learned how to make themselves as aerodynamic as possible. Even though you technically don't have to think about aerodynamics, but you do if you're going up against your own propulsion. At least the way these ships work. So they've started creating ships that can maneuver its own inertia, I guess, in a better way. So I'm thinking this boy has a little diamond tail, propulsion system here, 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 and here. That's what this back tail is. A mini, like, neck, almost, and then a little bubble right here, like a tiny little bubble boy. And that's where you're sitting. And then big guns. Maybe not even that big, but guns. Pew, 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 pew. And then these guns have more guns underneath, and this is where you shoot from. Pew, 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 pew. Maybe you can even turn them, like this way, and then pew, pew, pew. So pew, 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 pew. Plus, front thrusters are like a big target saying shoot here. That is true, it depends. On the ship. These guys can turn their thrusters this way, so can these, but it takes a long time for scouters to do that. So I'd like to think scouters maybe have counter thrusters here, but these guys, freighters, cannot just easily turn. You're gonna have to be careful with a freighter. Scouters are meant to just zip as fast as possible. These guys, however, need that speed, that zipping back and forth as fast as possible. So mini fighters will have that. The big fighters, the big old boys, I would want to look like a fucking tank in the sky. And these boys gonna be big. So let's go look at a fucking tank, I guess. Can I spell tank correctly? Tank. Mini fighters wouldn't need omnidirectional movement, though. Well, no, they're not used for omnidirectional movement. They just have fast fucking movement. Also, if they were ever cornered by something, they would need that propulsion to... Also, I'm thinking maybe this thing can rotate. Isn't there MO strafing runs? Yeah, pretty much. Oop, let me fix this. There we go. But I like the idea of this thing just turning, like on a rotation. So maybe it wouldn't need front thrusters. It would just turn real fast. There we go. Still looks like a gun, though. Like a gun that's upside down like this. That's kind of my initial design. Pew, 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 pew. And then this is the cockpit. And that's all you are. You're a cockpit with a thruster on the back and guns in the front. Now, the big boy fighter, I want to be kind of pointy and spiky and scary, but I also want it to be huge. So let's give it a pentagonal shape, like I said. And it's going to be a big boy. And it's going to have lots of guns. It's going to have lots of curves going up this side, and then lots and lots and lots of guns. Lots of little pits for people to go in. It's also going to have a lot of shielding potential, usually here and here to protect the gunmen. This side of the ship is probably the most protected naturally, so they're not going to worry too much about shields back here. But the main shield focus is going to be here to protect those inside the gun. I think I've got an idea if you'll indulge me. Sure. Like I said, I will take any suggestions. I will listen. So this thing is just going to be a giant barracks in flight. Oh, thank you for the sippy. I am thirsty. I have been talking for a while, and I am the thirst. I also like the idea of there being this big circle here and then more guns. It's just a big old tank. It's got giant fuck you cannons on it. And then little pew 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 cannons. Pew 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 pew. Listen! If there's one thing you need to know about people like me, we like making sound effects. Water. Delicious. I'm gonna Google spaceship tank. Space tank. Oh, that's not... That's not... It's an actual tank. It's showing me an actual tank. Okay, you know what? That's fair. Not the actual... Not the tank. Got it. Ugh. Now, I have said this at the beginning of stream, and I will say it again. I am not the best when it comes to, vehicles of any type. So, well, I know cars. I don't know ships. So, I'm just going off of vibes. Vibes and what I've seen in movies, and, like, the limited amount of access I can get, like, with my very terrible knowledge for Googling stuff. What if mini fighters are built a bit like a horse carriage? There's a sphere with the pilot seat that's connected with a triangular fighter module latched to its front. It has extra forward thrusters and weaponry fed from an internal source removed from the sphere. The pilot sphere's own thruster becomes the adjusting thrusters. If the module gets damaged, the sphere can detach, making a run. I do like the idea of the sphere just coming undone and just whoop, 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 whoop. If that's the case, I do like the little sphere being in the front, but there probably could be some sort of thing in the front as well. Maybe not a quote-unquote extra thruster, but it could have additional quiet thrusters on the inside of the ball in case the ball has to break free from everything and just whoop, goodbye. If that's the case, it might also take on shielding as well. It probably also has extra shield in the front. Because over here, yes, you can lose a gun, and it sucks, but that's why there's 4. If you manage to get hit on the side, if you manage to get hit here, you can have extra thrusters on the inside, maybe? I'm thinking way too much on a little baby ship. The sphere has all the expensive and essential systems, so somehow saving those is wildly beneficial. Well, definitely, because it's got your pilot in it. It's got your pilot, it's got, like, your ammunition, your energy cells for, like, shooting things. Your pod is your safety. Your pod is where you need to be safest. So it's obviously going to be the most protected. But it's also so fucking fast that it's just like, can you even hit the fucker? Also, it depends, I think, on which fighter you're dealing with. I feel like certain ships will do certain stuff. What is technically a shuttle? What's the definition of a shuttle here? Let me look that up real quick. I guess it's just anything that flies into space? Oh no, this is also a shuttle. I guess it's any sort of thing. Any sort of carrier. Carrier. Carrier's a good word. I might write down carrier. Just maybe do something with that. I don't know. Maybe that could be the, medical? A carrier? Sailor? No. Fighter module could also be built like a lance head obstruction viewing to the sphere, with the module having a few cameras to give the pilot a visual. Possibly. It already does kind of look like some sort of trident. So I do like the idea of it looking like a weapon in and of itself. Like I said, gun upside down as a joke. But the intimidating, like, spear-like shape does work. My fighter tank is just gonna stay this. It's just gonna be a fucking tank. For now, though, I'm gonna stop focusing on the fighting aspect, and I'm gonna work on the cruiser and the medical, because those are the only 2 I really have to think about for the moment. I don't have to flesh out the fighters or the freighters yet. I can later, if I need to. Let me close out a few more tabs, because I don't need them anymore. Goodbye. I have an idea for another little scouting ship. What if it has quote-unquote, like, vertical wings on it to slow it the fuck down and make very sharp turns? Instead of having to, like, ice glide like, like Link in his fucking hover boots, whenever the propulsion system's turning, what if it has some sort of flap opening system like this that just fucking stops you where you are, and then you just fucking shoop, you just zip very fast in another direction with a propulsion system. I'll have to think about all this later. I like that idea though. Just a little poop. Little speedy boy. Medical ship. That's right. I want to focus on a medical ship now. I'm thinking medical ships might not be that cylinder. I want it to be something else. Although the cylinder is nice, I have to do some sort of classic look. Oh wait, I have to draw a cruiser next. The cruiser is next on the list. I can draw the medical one in a minute. I have a perfect idea for a cruiser. And when I say cruiser, I don't mean the shoot bang cruisy boys, pew pew pew. I'm talking about like an actual luxury cruise model of a ship. I really like the idea of it looking like an actual giant fucking yacht because it's funny. So let me go stare at a cruise ship for a minute, because I would love for it to look like an actual cruise ship. Just created for space. Okay, I think I have an idea of what I want to do with this thing. Alright, let me move this. Let me look at this. I'm gonna pull up this stupid thing. This thing is huge. Okay, I have a few pictures pulled up. I have an idea of what I'm doing. This is gonna be fucking big. Oh my god, these cruise liners are so fucking big. Okay, so I have a few ships pulled up. I have a few ideas of what I want. These fuckers are huge.
Hi, King Potato. Welcome in.
I'm just staring at cruise liners, and you'll see why in a minute. So I'm going to make a cruise liner ship. This is going to be really funny. So cruise liners typically look like they have. Well, I'm saying cruise liner. I don't know if that's the actual correct term for it. I think it is though. Draw that butt. Draw the butt. What butt? I don't see a butt to draw. Oh no. Are you talking about the poop deck? Because I'm drawing ships right now. Touch the boat. Draw the boat and touch the butt. Ooh, this is also a really nice shape. Okay, so these fuckers are obviously going to be shaped like an actual ship. Because it's funny. Do do do. Do do. Do do do. Do do. Do do do. Do do do. Do 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 do. So, let me make it a little more pointy in the front. So it's like, oh man, pointy ship. Brace for a storm. What are you doing, Mothboy? I just made 4 boats for my home game of Pathfinder. Nice. I'm making ships, so I'm sort of making boats. I'm making space boats. This one's technically actually a space boat because it's a cruise ship. And then it'll have layer upon layer upon layer of levels. And then I want a big ass set of domes on top. These domes are made of glass and they have different events going on inside. These are giant-ass cruise ships. Mine were kind of like airships. Nice. Mine are straight-up cruise ships. Mine are...
Welcome back, Astrid.
I'm trying to figure out what kind of fighter thing I would have here. So, cruiser. Woo! Referencing something you probably won't get. Oh, that sounds about right. And then here's the thrusters. They don't really need anything else other than that. It's just a pleasure cruise ship. Finally got home? Nice. Ever heard of the Epic the Musical? I've heard of it, but I've never listened to it because, if I'm being honest, I'm getting a little world weary of all of the Greek stories being interpreted. I've heard way too many. Let's see. Well, this is a nice cruise ship too. I like the one I drew though. Just a simple fuck you ship. And these things are huge. They might as well be a city in and of themselves. The friends I've shown this say it's the best interpretation, but I get your point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I ever get interested, I might listen to it, but, I've gotten sick of the fucking Hades and Persephone myth being fucking beat to death over and over and over and over. I know it's not Hades and Persephone. I'm just using that as a first example of, holy fuck, can we stop interpreting Greek myth, please? Hades did it first, or Hades didn't do it first, but Hades did it best. And I'm like, I did it. I watched the best version of that story. And any other Greek myths that come out, I know this was technically, what was it? Space Boat Coast to Coast. Yeah. It's for Penelope and Odysseus, I believe. I didn't really care for Odysseus, no offense to him. So I'm already like, eh. But if I ever feel the inkling, I might. But until then, I will be giving it an eh. Yeah, Penelope and Odysseus. This time he doesn't cheat on his wife. I don't know how I feel about that. Because on one hand, it's like, oh, cool, they made him nicer. But at the same time, it's like, oh, don't let him, like, get away with that in the original. He was a fucking dirty cheater. Another question. I've been thinking about whether I should have the kids go to school as well as work in the government, or if I should have them not going to school entirely. Well, it depends on how important what they're doing is. If they're doing something super fucking crazy ass important, then they probably just have tutors. They don't need to go to school, they just need to be taught. They made him nicer. No, they made him not cheat. Didn't make him nicer. Nicer as in not an adulterer. Okay, so I can't think of any other kind of ships that I want to make. I am thinking of making the medical ship look kind of like the Enterprise because it's funny. This is probably why we don't have kids work in the government, because they don't go to school. But hypothetically speaking, if they did, yeah, they would probably just have tutors. Yeah, I would say give them tutors. If they are not going to school, but they need to work for the government. Kind of think of it kind of like how child actors need to do shit, which I get that we need kids in movies because the real world has kids in it. But I don't know, man. I don't like the whole kids in movies. Like, the kids starring in a movie, fine. But I don't know, it just feels really weird. It's a weird life that kids have to lead when they're, like, child actors. I gotta say, I ship Odysseus and Pleiades? Hello? Alright, so I think I'm gonna have the medical ship be round, because it's funny. And then have the propulsion system in the back. Let's close it in a little more. Bring it in. There we go. So, medical. And then it'll have a bigger, rounder top. They just made Pleiades very gay, and I love him for it. To be fair, it's ancient Greek. Everyone was gay. I'm not used to you and Lilin streaming at the same time. Yeah. I'm actually probably gonna go drop in on that motherfucker in a minute. But yeah, I did it. I made all the ship types, all the ship shapes. Granted, these are shapes probably from Earth/Atlas. There are going to be other shapes depending on what you're crashing into. But this is just a good basic rundown for myself. I feel. My ears have schizophrenia right now. I see. Make a dick-shaped one. I like how you went... like you were sick of your own shit. Of course, Esther, I'm glad I'm helping. I'm glad I'm able to parse some wisdom out of the mad ramblings that you get from me. Dick-shaped boat! Go make a dick-shaped boat! I just love the exacerbated sigh that came from fucking Moth. Make a dick-shaped one. It was just really funny to me. Okay, so I can't think of anything else I want to do right now. I just wanted to make Atlas-shaped ships. And yes, there are different, competing companies, there's different, planets, different species. I do want there to be species that have, like I said, bioships, because I've always loved the concept of bioships. Those are really cool. But Earth would never make a bioship. We don't do that here. We metal only, please. Or whatever they're making now. I'm sure they have some sort of strange thing that lets them make their ships a little more efficiently. Dick-shaped bioship? No! No, that's worse! I'm 50% done with my own ship, but remember there are 2 wolves inside me, not 1. I understand. Alright, but with that, I do think I'm gonna hop on off here. I know it's a bit early than usual, but that's fine. I don't need to end completely at 2 at all times. Especially when my voice feels a little scratchy, I guess. I've been talking a lot. I've been talking a lot and I haven't been drinking a lot. And I drew a bunch of ships. I also drew the basic outline for any ship that I could work on. I was able to make a dick joke, Bear. But yeah, let's go raiding. I know who I'm gonna raid because he's really— Ow! What the fuck? Rude! I got fucking thrown! Oh my god! Hand! Hand reveal. Hand reveal.
Let's go drop in on the guy. Let's go see Lilith.
Thank you for the yeet. And I will see you guys tomorrow. We're gonna play some more Oblivion. Maybe get into some shenanigans. Or maybe try and actually do the main quest for once. Who fucking knows? Anyway, see ya.